We had an extended appetizer, but now the main course is finally here. The May Melee about to begin. Knockout round play heading right at you. I'm ZP here with Jake, and Jake, it's finally time.
That's right. It's win or go home now in the knockout round. But these teams, they've qualified for the tournament. They're here really playing for those final payoffs. Getting wins here, getting that prize money, but potentially even more importantly to these teams are those bonus wins. Especially if you're a team that's had a rocky start, like these two teams on the first card, you would really love to see, at least 1, 2, 3 bonus wins. Those things could really turn your season around and put you back in contention.
There's a lot that these teams are playing for. I mean, let's count it up. You're playing for the pride of being crowned the best team in the midseason, which, believe me, does mean quite a bit to players. You're playing for a big chunk of prize money, which, of course, is money in your pocket. What is better than that? And as you say, Jake, you're playing for those bonus wins that will count towards your overall season record. You take a look at here at this full bracket. This, of course, is stacked, and we saw just a little bit earlier today, just getting here, difficult for some. Toronto was taken to the brink.
Yeah, they were able to get it in the end, but you're right. The Titans put on a show, really made that close. It was really only Karib, I think, who stepped up and just went a little bit crazy in the end to take his team over the line. So we'll see them back in action later. The Toronto Defiant still alive, still going to be competing in that knockout round. But our first match is one that I'm personally super excited about, and I know the fans are as well. This is a matchup that people absolutely love to see.
And just a reminder here, there's money on the line for these teams. So again, a lot of reasons to be looking for here, but I always feel like a little bit of extra cash. That's a big motivator, Jake, I'd say.
Yeah, a little cash, and I think it just depends on the player, right? What motivates them the most? You've got the players who are motivated by the long-term strategic vision, who, for whom the bonus wins, that's going to be the biggest prize. Getting your team a better situation come playoffs with that long-term mindset. You've got team players and teams who just want the swag of like taking first place, being that best team in the format that, remember, is going to be applying during playoffs, right? When we get rid of hero pools, this is the format that we're going to be determining our overall champion with, down the line in a few months. So looking ahead to that, you want to be dominant right now. You want to assert that you are the best team without hero pools. And then, of course, who can question it? A little bit of cash in your pocket never hurt anybody. So, of course, players want to pick something up, maybe buy themselves something nice.
And of course, that leads us into our first match of the day. That's right, just when you think you've had enough of it, no, you haven't. The Battle of Texas, it's here again. Houston taking on Dallas. These teams fated to fight each other again and again. And you look at this Houston starting lineup, in case you've been under a rock, you take a look at it, it's Hydration in on main tank. And Jake, you got to watch a lot of the Lone Star Challenge. What do you think of Hydration here on main tank?
Well, personally, I think Hydration has stepped into this role flawlessly. I mean, maybe a couple of hiccups here and there, but overall the team has looked better to have him in the lineup. So, Muma now competing for starting time now, finding himself on the bench for the most part, which is a big surprise, I think, given the history of the Houston Outlaws. But Hydration, a player who has shown a ton of flexibility in playing tank in the past, mostly in the flex tank role, but now, taking over as a main tank for the squad. They've looked great with him. So, props to the coaching staff making an unconventional decision to be sure, but one that's paid off. The last time these teams faced off, it went, at least in the Overwatch League, it went the way of the Fuel, but in a very close Game 5 decider. But just this last week, actually playing in the Lone Star Challenge, was the Outlaws who came out ahead with a 4-2 scoreline in that best-of-7 finals series. Definitely check that series out if you haven't already. It was a knockdown dragout, really good one. But now in the rematch, it'll be interesting to see if history repeats itself or if the Fuel have some tricks they kept up their sleeve.
Yeah, and as you look at the Fuel starting roster, of course, nothing too crazy changing up here. You got Decay and Doa on the DPS line. You got Crimzo, who's been proving to be a rising star in support. And I think back to that show match, and, I'm not going to speak entirely for him, but I think if you were to ask someone like Arrow just like, yeah, at the end of it was a show match. You think we're going to show you all of our best looks in a show match? Please keep thinking that as we go forward and knock you out of the May Melee. I think that's how Dallas has to be thinking here, or at least what they tell themselves to feel better about the entire situation, because the rivalry between these two teams is just insane.
Yeah, it does suck to admit that you gave your best and you were still defeated. And to their credit, I think the Fuel had some really great looks in their matchup against the Outlaws and in that Lone Star Challenge. What it broke down to, compositionally-wise, was the Fuel playing a lot of this very fast, aggressive dive comp, with Doha on the Sombra, Decay on the Tracer, those superstars really carrying their weight and then some. And then playing that Winston, D.Va, Lucio, Moira. So just all-in aggression, trying to punish the Orisa comps. But for the Outlaws side, playing the Orisa, Orisa Sigma usually, maybe Orisa D.Va, Orisa Hog, but consistently that Orisa paired with Jex's Brig were able to turn back the dives in the end of the day and get those wins. So the question in my mind is, will the Fuel continue to commit to that dive strategy that, if our last match is any bellwether, wasn't so effective?
I mean, they've had time to think it over, right? You look at this roster, there's a lot of depth to it, a lot of talented players that can switch things up on a whim. I think that Fuel would look at what happened during the Lone Star Challenge, and yeah, show match or not, that's still valuable info for, okay, maybe this didn't work in this context, maybe we should change things up here. Obviously, we'll know when we get into the first map, but very much like that showdown, this is also a hero pool-less environment. Every pool, or every hero, is allowed in the pool here, so it's going to be interesting to see what full power looks like for both of these teams.
Yeah, for the Fuel, I think it is a good point. This has been the best roster for them. I wouldn't make any changes if I were them, but definitely it could be a bit of a weakness, the fact that they really haven't changed anything. They don't seem to have any changes in the bag. It's this roster or nothing for the Fuel.
Yep, and between the two teams, seeing how it match up is going to be interesting, where it always is, where I feel like even in times where one of these two teams is favored, right? We've had our moments where, okay, Houston just going to dominate, where Fuel's been struggling and vice versa. It always seems to be close, and obviously you were a part of a lot of those matches, Jake. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think both teams just play really hard for the win when they go up against each other. They know how invested the fans are in the outcome of this match, pretty much more than any other. And now that it's in a playoffs format on top of being a rivalry match, sort of the stakes couldn't be higher right now, I think, for either of these teams. So surely no one after this can claim that they're not giving their best. The winner here has to be pretty confident going into the rest of the tournament. But for the Fuel side, I feel like I would be a little bit worried if I were Dallas Fuel, honestly. Like, because of losing the show match, well, you could say we didn't, care too much about the show match. We didn't put our best foot forward. Still, obviously, sucks to lose. And then going into this tournament, right, like, even though the Fuel are the higher seed right now, they didn't get a choice as of this matchup. The Houston Outlaws were the team of the teams to be selected that nobody else wanted. So the Fuel were stuck with this matchup, which suggests to me sort of what I predicted is correct, that people consider the Outlaws to be the best of those four teams. So the question is, can Fuel stand up to this matchup? I think the high seed, low seed of all the matches in the knockout round has the least impact here.
Well, the first map we're going to be heading to is Nepal, so we were just on it for a tiebreaker a little bit ago. Now we're heading into it again, and I do think we'll see a different look from both of these teams. I don't think it'll be quite the same style, but Echo as a factor here, do you think we'll be seeing much of that here today from these two teams?
Oh, definitely. I think probably more for the Outlaws than the Dallas Fuel if the show match is anything to go by. Doha has been more than proficient on the Echo, but Dante's really been a player who's forced it on a lot of occasions, especially playing in that Orisa comp, trying to control the flanks for his team, create space for them, and just be adaptable, using that copy to sort of suit the situation. And, he's been particularly strong, I would say, on the Echo as well. Linkser having a real resurgence in his gameplay right now with the recently buffed Ashe. Linkser's one of the sharper Ashes in the league these days. So Houston looking potentially quite strong for that Orisa-based composition primarily, I would say. The Fuel, I think they have their options open to them. They could go for the really fast dive style that they showed so much of in the Lone Star Challenge, or they could slow things down and they like to play the Orisa mirror. I think either are quite viable for Dallas, showing a lot of flexibility.
I think there's one interesting thing about Dallas is just they can swap up on a whim. Now, versatility is one thing, performance is another. And whether or not they're able to perform peak potential is something that people want to see here. Now take a look at it here on the Hero Select screen, Jake. Any surprises to you, even though things are not quite locked in just yet?
One thing's a bit surprising is that Houston is showing a fast rush comp right now, so they're actually not going to go the direction of the Orisa on this map, which I think is pretty surprising. I think Orisa has always been a strong choice on Sanctum. Just the ability to pull people into the pit is hard to beat. Meko on that D.Va, though, could potentially nullify that advantage. But for the Outlaws, they need to win quickly or they're not going to win at all with this strategy. It's an all-in rush for them, as the Zen and the BAP will definitely outdamage.
Jexa, your check is in the mail. Just wanted to let you know. But we're getting into it. The spam has been made. The Outlaws versus the Fuel. And the Outlaws, as you said, Jake, taking the fight to Fuel. Decay just got caught, walled out, and destroyed.
Yeah, that's a really nice punish, and without the Ashe, it's going to be so much harder to pressure this Rhine to break his shield down, get it below that half threshold. Outlaws continuing to chase it. It's pretty hard, though, for Hydration to continue, but another beautiful wall by Dante. Two huge walls getting massive pickups and securing mid. That's pretty much all Dante this mid.
What a disaster for Dallas to start things off here. One wall after the other, and Houston just walks at him. It's going to be a very quick first control, and basically the last thing you want to have happen to you during that, and all right. Both teams get a little bit spicy here in chat, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a huge start now for the Outlaws, especially playing this Rein comp. Can be very hard to retake with, but when you're in this sort of position, controlling chokes, that's where Reinhardt's most effective. That's where it's most difficult for this Orisa and Sigma to find value. And once again, Hydration pushing forward, and Decay going for kind of a wild flank right now.
Hydration moving in off the Nano. Reckless aggression directly into Gamsu, and Gamsu cannot sustain. Hydration builds the Shatter. Shatter alone, not too much, but the Nano charge in more than enough. Dallas already in a very tough spot here, and this has been dominant so far from the Outlaws.
Yeah, that's a pretty ideal fight. Nice turn by Decay, but just not going to be enough there to actually get anything done. And ends up being pretty late stagger on Decay. So the Outlaws, they're cruising up in the percentage here. Making this retake is going to be really crucial, though, and I think it's going to be tough for Meko to find much on this self-destruct. You've got Immortality Field, you've got 2 shields available, so a lot of tools here for this attacking squad. Fuel, this is their moment to retake.
You'll need to get something going and fast. There's the halt, and down goes Hydration, and Dante. Gamsu threads the needle, throws him off the map. Dallas showing some signs of life. Should be able to easily get control of the point here. Just too many down for the Outlaws. Though I do expect a little bit of stall as Jexa somehow gets Jexa! What in the world? How? Why? Jexa just takes down both DPS of the Fuel, and the Fuel might not get control at all.
Oh, that's so brutal. Meko as well takes the Nano and gets a huge land point. Is that a boot from Jackson?
No way.
Oh, so close. He barely survives. The speed boost from Crimzo with the Trance barely keeps him alive, but they're just running into Dante's Blizzard. Jexa's a god gamer. What a hold.
That's unbelievable. How many times do you see a Lucio take down both DPS in a fight that was essentially lost? The Outlaws go 100-0 on the Fuel. That's not really how I expected that round to go, Jake.
That's beautiful work, and you also got to give props to Linkster for raiding in that damage. That's the reason that those Echo and Ash were so low. There's no chance Jexa goes for that without Linkster calling out that big damage he was able to drop. So, you know, Linkster on this Ash, you know, we know Decay is a dominant hit scan player, but I think Linkster has really come alive since Ash got buffed. It seems like this is an even better hero for him than the Widow we always knew him for. So, once again, queuing up the rush comp here for the Outlaws. Again, I'm a little worried about the Echo in this composition. I think it can be a little bit hard for Dante to play unless his team can win dominantly quickly. There's not really going to be any heals for this Echo. So, again, it's a very all-in aggressive strat, but it paid off last time.
All right, where is the ref right now? We need to find the Outlaws for this shameless self-promotion. Jex had the right idea. You know, support the corporate overlords, but now everyone's just out for themselves. Unbelievable. It's going to be the Outlaws' first point here, Jake, and the Fuel looking for their way in, and now the Outlaws decide to dive over. This time, though, Fuel a little bit healthier to start things out. Doa able to get onto Dante. Oh no, off the edge you go again! Jexa's a madman! Completely out of his mind, but still even fight to a degree. But nope, not anymore. Fuel lose the first fight again.
Jexa, what are you doing to these guys? Another double kill. I thought that mid was completely lost. The Outlaws push looked completely like a failure. And then Jexa just sweeps in and picks up a crucial double kill boop. I mean, gosh, Jexa is feeling himself right now. And now Repel has Coalescence, and the Orisa Sigma are retaking, which is their least effective position. They want to be holding position, not trying to move into it. Repel, very early Coal, though. This could just be kited out, I think, by Dallas Fuel.
Fuel looking for any good entry. And all right, clipping Dante out of the sky. That's a good start. 2 early pickoffs here from the Fuel. Just stay away from the edge. That's all I have to ask here, Dallas. Like, please, don't let Jexa turn this fight. He's done it so many times. Just stay on the point. Get away from the environment. I beg you.
Yeah, this should all be clean up here for the Fuel. Bit antsy, I think, on Repel's end. I'm not sure why he committed the Coal so early when Fuel are still on the high ground. They just back out wisely and, you know, wait out that ability. Dante sort of feels like he has to get something done, but ends up just being an overextension and no real value gain there. On the side of the Outlaws, that's a pretty painful way to lose point. A bit of a misplay, I would say, from the Outlaws. You know, just missing their timing. You need to wait for that Orisa Sigma to drop off the high ground before your commitment can be successful. And, oh, Crimzo with a huge charge fire into Jexa resets him once again. And Fuel are in really great position right now in terms of ults.
Look, you got to get rid of the main threat. And right now the main threat has been Jexa, who tears flooding the chat right now in response. Crimzo knows where to hit him where it hurts.
It's going to be pretty much on Dante's Tracer to get some crazy picks here. I don't see another way really for Outlaws to surmount this massive ultimate lead that the Fuel are fielding. But that's a massive shatter. That's the sort of thing you need.
Just steps up the paint, drops a shatter. The Immortality Field, though, there. Closer, keeping the Fuel in the fight. Doha looking to have a bang to the side, takes down Meko at the end of Doha. Doha's the aid of himself, I should say. And the Fuel keep control, so 47 to 46.
Nice efficient choices as far as ultimate usage goes. For the side of the Dallas Fuel, they use everything except holding on to, crucially, the Transcendence and the Supercharger. And what those two ults ensure is that the Fuel, using the Trance, are going to be able to stay alive, and using the Supercharger, they're going to be able to build up their ultimates once again. So very efficient, economical play from Dallas. In firm control of this round, I would say cruising toward a round victory here.
Fuel able to regain their composure. The Outlaws changing composition. They're not going to have quite the same level of presence that they did with Echo. Dante, Pulse Bomb, ready to go. Looking for it here. Mortality Field already burned through. Dante moves forward, gets the stick. Guangzhou out of the fight, and the Outlaws, a good re-engage, going to flip it.
Yeah, the beat was absolutely massive there. The Supercharger not really getting committed at all by Guangzhou, so he likes to just hold on to that for next round. Maybe feeling like the beat was just a bit too overwhelming, too much pressure on him, but that's pretty rough, I think, for Dallas Fuel. That should have been a position where they could get Supercharger value. I'm pretty surprised that Guangzhou didn't commit that ultimate. I'm going to like to use it for the retake, and again, it's a little bit difficult, I think, for the Outlaws. How do you contest this high ground? You only really have Meko for that job. Dante can help, but pretty hard when Crimso's on this brig.
So Fuel going to start out here, the Supercharger. The Outlaws needing the respect poke damage to Hydration, getting very, very low as the fight begins. Fuel uses Supercharger, they'll almost get control of the point. And there's a shatter again from Hydration. The Immortality Field, okay, totally fine. The Outlaws can't really follow up on it. Hydration just too low as the Fuel look to take control. They win this fight. They should get the round as Doha. It's a very nice cleanup on the back.
Yeah, so I guess that's why Guangzhou holds the Supercharger there. Gets tons of value on the retake, forces everyone out of position for the Outlaws, and now repels, even being attacked in the spawn. That sleep gonna buy him a short reprieve, but his teammates have already fallen without being able to receive those Ana heals.
The Fuel looking a bit rejuvenated here. Dante already out of the fight. Guangzhou still in the Hammond, which has worked out all right so far. Note, the Flux out. Looking to set this one away. Doha, Clone Tracer, Pulse Bomb Stick, takes down Linkser. And the Dallas Fuel just a little bit away here. The Outlaws looking to delay, looking for a miracle. Doha's down, but they're going to need so much more. The Fuel, meanwhile, just looking for cleanup. Dante, back in the fight. Tracer, often the hero of miracles in these situations, but not this time. The Fuel, just about there.
That's a fearless move from Decay, but it pays off, and Dallas secures their second round win. I feel like that Reinhardt rush comp worked a lot better on Sanctum when they're able to control the chokes, but on the Shrine map, Dallas just keeps coming out from high ground, and every time on the retake, they were dominating those retakes, right? Normally retaking is a position where you're struggling, you have to overcommit ultimates just to break the threshold, but it felt like exactly the opposite, where even on retake, the Fuel were in control. So Guangzhou, smarter than me, chooses to save the Supercharger for that use instead of trying to hold on to it, hold on to point with it. Ends up working out just perfectly there, pushing Hydration out. No way he can hold shield against that much damage.
Guangzhou also had a really smart switch onto the Hammond afterwards, where he stalled out a lot of the Outlaws. It meant that the people going in the delay were off on their own for a longer period of time. So the Fuel, after a tough start on round one, they recover on round two, and now who knows how Village is going to turn out. But take a look at the Outlaws. They're going with the May. No Echo in sight.
Similar strats, but I think the Fuel are in the advantage here, getting position on point, so they're going to have the opportunity to use that May wall to cut apart the enemies, but Meko just burns Doha. What happened there? Doha instantly bursted.
I think everyone shot Doha. There was a team effort. Meko just got the credit. The Outlaws, 6 on 5. Lynx are all charged up. His best Void Ray impression going on here. Melting him on down. And Sim's so good here. Lynxer with 4.
Oh, I think Void Ray is such an apt comparison. For the way a charged Sim looks and feels. Oh, Doha, what a snipe though on Repel, and cutting down that healer is going to be crucial. The Outlaws are going to be working with very little sustain going into this next fight. Decay going to switch over to the Ashe as well. A little bit awkward here, but as they move onto the high ground, seems like it might be uncontested.
Here come the Fuel. They're looking to get a little bit of momentum. The freeze is in. Doha, extra bit of control. Crimso, the Cole, the cleanup, gets another 2. And the Dallas Fuel roar right back in onto the point. Gotta love it, Jake. It's our first map. It's 1-1, and it's even on round 3. Houston v Dallas continuing to give us a show.
Oh, what a carry by Doha, though. I mean, I think if he doesn't find that pickoff on Repel, then they're going to be pushing into an Ant Matrix and a drone. It just would have been perfect for the Outlaws, but instead they just completely lose control after a nice mid, so that's so painful. Nice play by Doha as a shield comes in for Linkser, and Outlaws have good position on point.
They're looking for it. Hydration. The Shatter is ready. He's trying to see through the shields. The Shatter connects. Note is out of there. And the Outlaws right in for the retake. One haymaker from the Fuel, answered by a haymaker from the Outlaws. Back and forth we go.
Yeah, blow for blow is exactly the way to describe this one. Going into this next fight, Guangzhou Shatter could make all the difference, but Dante, he's got essentially a free Blizzard here, so if Closer commits that speed boost a little too early, they could get a nice Halt Blizzard combo. Decay moving around this flank side seems like Fuel, they always want to be taking this fight on point near that objective, but Decay instead's going to be all alone actually as everyone from the Fuel moves into the mid choke.
Early Blizzard here from Dante. Freezes out Guangzhou. He can't get away. Beat or no. The Tune's not going to save him that time. Now the Fuel, they're going to have to try and bring this back, minus Guangzhou, minus the Shatter, and I think they just reset. They wait.
Yeah, kind of confused by that. Decay's going on the coast like that. Why is his team fighting on the opposite side of the map? Maybe trying to go for some sort of sneaky pickoff, but Outlaws just play way too fast of a tempo there and just heavily punish it.
So now the Fuel moving on in. Could be their final opportunity if this is slow. Bob charging over, and there's the freeze. Guangzhou there on the cleanup off of what D.Va was setting up, and the Fuel just get right back in there. But now, really, Jake, all their opportunities to come back in are gone. They must hold it for the rest of the round.
Yeah, they've got the tools to do it, though. You've got that Supercharger, such an effective way to suppress an attacking team. On the other side, though, for the Outlaws, they could commit that drone in the corner, pop the amplification matrix, and the Supercharger kind of comes to nothing if you can't break the immortality field.
The Outlaws, one fight away from stealing map one. Early wall is up, but it's broken on through. The Fuel needing the back out. They drop the Supercharger. Respond. There's Guangzhou. Drops a Shatter. Repel. In danger, but kept alive. Again, immortality field up towards the end. Linkser, though, out of the fight. The Fuel still in control. Guangzhou going in deeper. Hydration gets caught. And the Outlaws are going to be forced back. It's all going to come down to a final fight, Jake.
Yeah, and this is a must-win scenario, although those are the two crucial ultimates that the Fuel had to work with. So for the Outlaws, I think they're going to be pretty satisfied with that, baiting both tank ults out, now with an ult advantage of their own to push in. They do have this Symmetra as well, so you can kind of cheat that defensive advantage, just teleport straight to point, and it seems like that might be what they're setting up for here. Repel groups up, and ooh, going to teleport right in there. We'll see if Decay punishes. Nice wall, though, denies the TP.
Wall comes up here from the Outlaws. They're going to use it to move in onto that point. Oh no, this is danger. 4-note. Walled in the back. Guangzhou put on the ground. Is he going to be able to stay alive? Crimzo's Cold's doing a lot of work. Guangzhou stays alive. Crimzo saves him in the moment. And the Dallas Fuel now 6-on-5. The Outlaws, they have to drop the beat. Linkser, charge up to the side. Dante's Blizzard freezing it on out. Both teams back and forth. Crimzo keeping the Fuel in the fight. The Outlaws getting a little bit lower, but Decay gets caught. Crimzo, though, on the side. 3-on-3 between both teams. Guangzhou to be swapped over to Hammond. The Outlaws, though, getting a little bit more momentum. Dante still here on the point, but go down. Crimzo cannot be stopped. And the Dallas Fuel, they take the point. The Outlaws can't stay on it.
Oh, that's so painful. Dante used his cryo freeze just off the point, and when he comes out of it, Guangzhou just rolls through and boops him back. That looks so close. It was a true knockdown drag out for both teams. I think there was a 2v2 there on point in the final seconds, so you can't ask for much closer of a round than that. If the Outlaws had taken that fight, surely they could have won the map there. So, you know, pretty impressive stuff by the Fuel to hold on to it. Both teams coming out with some serious haymakers in this first round. I think this is just the opening salvo of a great series to come.
Very much so, but I need to address something, kind of the elephant in the room as we cast this series here. When people have the idea of thinking there's inherent bias. No, I'm not talking about the Outlaws. I'm talking about your bias against Moira. Can we admit that that was some great play by Crimzo?
Yeah, he did a nice call, you know, cleaved up the enemy team. Enemy team's playing, you know, a Batiste, so Repel, you know, allowed to aim his hero. Crimzo just, you know, he's pressing his buttons, doing a good job, pressing the buttons in the right order at the right times. So yeah, using the Cole.
All right,
pressing it, looking at him.
I had to drag that out as much as possible because, look, I'm going to call it. I think Crimzo positioning there was great. You got to give it up, even if Moira doesn't always have the flashiest plays in the system. And really back and forth across the board. If this is what we have to look forward to from map one, I'm so excited for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think they were definitely going to have a close one. Both teams with some innovative strategies, not exactly mirroring each other, but with similar ideas, different takes on the same comp. You think back to some of those crucial moments, like Doha getting that late pickoff on Repel to get them get Dallas Fuel to retake. I think without that pickoff, the Dallas Fuel were walking into serious ult disadvantage there. I don't think that retake would have been nearly as doable. So for the side of the Houston Outlaws, you got to feel pretty confident. Like that game was super winnable, incredibly close, great performances by both teams. Think about those hero plays by Jexa as well. 2 double kills, almost back-to-back, finishing one round and then starting the next. So, huge plays for both teams. If the series continues on like this, I won't be disappointed no matter the result.
I can't wait for the next few maps. And guess what? We won't have to wait long, but we do have to take a short break. We'll be back after just a few minutes.
Rank up with America's largest 5G network. Switch to T-Mobile today. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. And by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
The battle for Texas, it just does not disappoint. Dallas up 1-0 over Houston in a map 1 thriller. Jake, now we head over to Blizzard World.
You're right, ZB. Control maps, though, they just don't get much closer than that first round. Both teams with huge retakes, different strategies, big openers on mid. So just a really exciting control round, control map rather, all around. And if the series continues to go like this, I'm really excited. This is what we dream of when it comes to the Dallas Fuel taking on the Houston Outlaws. But as we go into Houston's map choice here on the hybrid game type, it's going to be Blizzard World, which makes sense. If you look back to their show match, this is where the Outlaws had a really dominant performance closing the series here. And they're going to also make a little bit of a roster change. They're going to bring in Raucus over Jexa. And I think the idea there is to play that BAP Zen with the Orisa Sigma kind of dominating on Blizzard World. It tends to be one of the better maps in the whole game for that strategy. So not surprising you're going to commit your supports to the greedy backline. You're not going to be running Lucio's. Maybe Brig here and there, but pretty much Lucio probably not in the cards at all. So the BAP Zen makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, okay, well, that's a logical game-related reason why you'd summon Raucus, but I have an alternate theory that I like a lot more, which is that, look, there's prize money on the line. Raucus can get extra money here. Maybe he subs in, maybe gets extra money as a result. And the man has expensive taste in restaurants. If the Outlaws are able to win this tournament, they'll feed Raucus for, like, one meal. That's important. The man's got to eat.
Man's got to eat, indeed. Crucial. And to do that, he's going to have to win this map here. I mean, we talked about this. You know, when you lose that first map, and it goes into your map pick, it's so crucial to win there and start to swing the momentum back in your favor. If you go into that second map, you lose your map pick, you go down 0-2, it just starts to feel like you're almost out of the series right there. So for Outlaws, pressure is on in a sense. But, you know, to be fair, last time they played Blizzard World, they just looked really great. They understood the map perfectly. Fuel even did some weird stuff, like played Soldier at the end. It didn't really make sense to me. Didn't work out for them either. But now I'd expect to see this. This might be a place where we see a lot of mirror match, like the Bap Zen, the Echo and the Ashe, and the Orisa and the Sigma. It's just a nice, well-rounded strategy, all about enabling your range damage dealers, breaking shields, pummeling those Discord targets.
It's very exciting between both teams, where I feel like they're evenly matched across the board in a lot of these roles, and I'm just excited to see Dante versus Doha, in particular on the Echo, on a map where there's a lot more room to fly, a lot more room to flank and make plays. It's going to be the Fuel here on the defense first, and a little bit of a difference between the two teams. You got Brig on one side, Zen on the other.
I think this is a bit of a scouting opener from Linkshire and Hydration. I don't expect to see the Symmetra committed on. Just trying to check the enemy composition, make sure you're running the most optimal counter picks. But actually, Houston's going to go for a dive strat, so electing to try to punish the enemies in Yada rather than mirroring it. And I actually like this look to Tracer in the Echo. It's going to be tough for Crimzo and Closer to stay alive. No Brig on the side of the defense.
I think for Crimzo, especially against a Tracer, Crimzo has to maintain high ground as long as possible. Just make it as annoying for Linkser to dive in as he possibly can. The Outlaws, Dante gets poked down pretty heavily. Decay trying to control the air.
Yeah, Fuel just going to be all grouped up on this high ground. I think this is the right reaction to a dive strat. But the other side of that is that the Outlaws are taking any position they want on the map. Doha tries to catch a flanker, does punish Linkser, but the stickies from Dante are too good.
The Outlaws up one already. Crimzo gets caught. That was the target for the Outlaws all along, the most vulnerable piece of the Fuel defense. Now Dante, room to work with, takes down Doha, the ground sticky bombs. The finish is there, and we have a cool 3. Yeah, we do.
I mean, he already got the first to open it, so that's a 5K from Dante to just cruise through this first control point. Get that payload moving. You see Closer and Crimzo instantly going to switch to the Brigana. Just, I mean, you got to do it, right? Like, the Bab Zen just can't survive. So this pick end up looking really smart for the Outlaws. Like, when the defense runs the Zen, you might be better off just punishing with a dive. When they switch to the Brig, we could also see Outlaws elect to go back for a mirror match on that Orisa Sigma, with Decay also picking a mirror DPS. So it's going to be an interesting fight here, all about space control. Can Guangzhou and Note get enough value to survive the dive?
One thing I find interesting with Doha isn't actually trying to go for flanking pickups. He's just going to build ultimate right now. It's a more defensive style of Echo than what we've seen. But okay, Dante just gets sniped out by Note. It's going to be delaying the Outlaws a little bit more. Bionade hits the back from Crimzo. So Fuel buying themselves a fight there. But you compare it to what we saw from Shockwave earlier today, it's a very different style of Echo, Jake.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Given the overall team comp he's running. He's got the Orisa Sigma. You know, he doesn't have highly mobile tanks who can follow up his aggression. So instead of trying to force the issue, he's going to play defensive and like to just support his Orisa and Sigma. Dante with the pulse, though. Ooh, really close, but does get burned down.
Just looking for it. The Fuel, though, able to shrug off the dive in for the Outlaws. Fuel continuing to hold their position. 4 minutes left for the Outlaws. Still a lot of time, but Fuel is looking very, very solid on this defense.
Yeah, and I would say no surprises here. The opening that the Outlaws are hoping for is when their tanks get ult, but one downside of Dante dominating first point so quickly is that Hydration and Meko weren't really able to charge up much ult of their own. So now the Fuel have a really dominant position in terms of ultimate economy. Hydration and Meko aren't quite close enough to be comfortable in getting their ults in one dive, which is really that crucial threshold, although Hydration is starting to bridge the gap right now, getting very close to the Primal.
Both teams sitting on duplicate between the two. Dante rolling around the flank. Guangzhou in real danger, getting focused down. Dante goes for the clone. Reset into the backlands. Going to have Inya fortifying your face, and Guangzhou can't get away. Taken down. Meko low on the other end, but the Outlaws able to maintain their players. The low players get out. The others rotate in. And the Fuel end up losing the fight decisively. That was the fight the Outlaws were looking for.
Wow, that copied Primal just got instantly deleted. That's the power of Discord Orb and Focus Fire right there. That was quick. And now tank ults were held onto by the Outlaws, so Primal self-destruct in this open area to close out second point is going to be very difficult to evade. Despite the double shield, you're going to get disrupted very, very heavily by these ultimates.
So they drop the supercharge early, but Guangzhou just walks out, gets immediately deleted. The rest of the Fuel wasn't with them, and the Outlaws' punish is supreme. More than that, they got to save the Primal Rage, Jake.
Yeah, so the snowball can continue to roll on. Good bright spot for the Fuel is that Closer was able to hold on to his rally, or rather not hold on to it, he's almost got it online. So that can be a great way to defend yourself against the Primal, right? The Primal, good at separating people, but just doesn't offer an incredible amount of burst damage to the point you can actually get through a rally. So this rally has to be good for Closer. If he does go down or not get too much value in the ultimate, then the Outlaws are going to be pretty happy. But I have to imagine the Fuel can hold here.
Crimzo landed a nice bio-nade to the back of Repel and Rockets, both in danger from it. 5-on-5. Crimzo ends up falling after the nade. Duration. Primal Rage, a bit of disruption. Dallas, though, was able to fully disengage, so there's not really great opportunity for the rest of the Primal. Outlaws still, though, getting decent payload pushing, but here comes Note. Drops the Flux. What do you get? Well, you got Linkser. Linkser immediately smushed into the back, and transcends from Repel. A little bit late, the Outlaws trying to fight this back down one in the Fuel, not looking very perturbed by it.
Yeah, I think losing a DPS is a pretty big deal, especially when you're going up against the Orisa Sigma, who have so much defensive utility online. You really do need your DPS to be alive. Repel and everyone from the Outlaws doing a great job getting value. This is pretty risky, pretty greedy to be staying in and poking like this, but it pays off as they don't die, and they're charging up quite a few ultimates now.
There they go, the Bob already in. Fuel trying to disengage, and they do. They get hydration. They don't lose anyone in the process. Here comes D.Va. Primal Rage charged up, looking for the edge. If nothing else, a distraction to the remainder of the Outlaws that live. But guess what? They're not going to be living for long. The Fuel push the Outlaws out. And this defense finally starting to get its legs, Jake.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some composition switch here. Yep, so we're going to see the Orisa Sig mirror, which I think makes a ton of sense. Very hard to close out this last with a dive strategy, in my opinion. Just very easy for the defenders to huddle in those corners. An early bongo, though, potentially by Guangzhou. It is capitalized on by Decay.
Yeah, Decay just sniping from the back. It's simple. It's not very flashy, but it gets the job done. It delays the Outlaws even further, drains about another 30 seconds from the clock, and it's done in a pretty economical way.
Yeah, Supercharger tends to be the best ultimate in this mirror match, so you know, I think the Outlaws aren't going to be too upset about that. They have a rally to open this next fight to close some of the distance, but Note's going to have his Gravitic Flux to answer, so it's going to have to be perfect for the Outlaws to get a successful fight here.
Speaking of Flux, Dante looking for one of his own, moving forward, has built up nothing so far. Struggling to get much poke damage. Of course, diving in, can force it. Decay gets caught, and off of Dante's aggression here, the Outlaws finding room to work with. 6-on-5. Cool. They dropped Nano. Doha was in the back. It's not enough for Doha to get anything going. The Outlaws starting to bleed the Fuel here, one by one. The Outlaws running out of players, but nope, starting to strike back. And take a look. Fuel almost gone. That's going to be the Outlaws pushing in, and they do it with time to spare.
That's a very impressive attack on Blizzard World. Slowing down a little bit in the momentum on second point, and then slowing it down a little bit on third, but those are the only times that Fuel was really able to put a defense up, and with more than a minute on the clock, you're really happy with that on a map like Blizzard World, where we rarely see attackers finish the map, showing why the Outlaws made this map choice. They're clearly very comfortable on it. I mean, how about that first push from the Outlaws? Just steamrolling through on the back of Dante's Echo.
Jake, I need to ask you as a player, and you've been in the situation many times, Linkser just dropped the good half in chat, the GH. Now, when you hit that in this situation, let me ask you, is Linkser being sportsmanlike, or is Linkser rubbing it in?
Well, that's up for the fans at home to decide. You know, in my view, you know, no harm, no foul, right? That's GH, you know, hey, good to have.
Your chuckles betray what you really think here. I'm calling you on it right now.
Yeah, we body slammed you. It's good, right? Like, that's what we want. It's a good half when we body slam you.
Okay.
But interestingly enough, Rocket's going to pick the Mercy here, which is sort of a middle ground, I think, between a Zenyatta's offering of shield trading potential and you know, hero with a bit more mobility that is a lot more sustainable, I think, against dive than a Zen. So I actually kind of like this pick from the Outlaws. It's a middle-of-the-road pick, so you're not super far behind in shield damage against a Zen comp, but you're also not super vulnerable to an aggressive dive strat. So an interesting take on it, and I think Linkser and Dante with this pocket could be really deadly.
So the Fuel, they begin their attack. See how the change-ups work here. Closer going to be swapping over to the Brigida. Crimzo onto the Zen again, so there's a dive target out here for the Outlaws, but Crimzo Zen has been pretty solid today.
Yeah, it is going to be the Bab Zen, which theoretically should give a bit of damage lead to the Fuel. But if the Outlaws with this damage pocket can just make a pick happen, then that all goes to nothing.
Okay. Building here in the back, the Fuel just looking to make consistent progress. Have already drained the Immortality field, so bit of a window of opportunity here for the Fuel as they look to continue to push the Outlaws back. Okay, now with room to work with, looking for anything in the back. Sightlines prove to be a bit of a challenge. Fuel down there, Immortality field, and Linkser hits far more.
Yeah, you can see Decay there. He's looking for a pick on backliners. He doesn't just want to shoot tanks because he knows that Linkser will eventually come for him. But there it is. Decay finds one, and ooh, the shield from Meko just barely protects Dante. What a clutch survivability play by Meko, keeping his team alive. If they lost one more pick there, could have been dire for the defense. But instead, the res just secures things, and Outlaws in full control right now.
Really like that from Meko. I mean, what more can you ask for from your Sigler, where you're not only getting the good shields, protecting your team, but just outright assassinating people is a contribution you need. The Fuel now on the next approach. They look towards the K right now, who's really having a struggle finding targets.
Yeah, it's pretty tough too, especially when Linkser's getting damage boosted, because he can always just get one-tapped, right? The ability to one-tap your opponent, so significant in these Ashe duels.
Ult comes on in, the Fuel. Immortality field pretty early in the fight. Same for the Outlaws, both got out of it. Decay was able to find Repel though. The Fuel still looking very healthy at a 6-on-5. And now here comes the snowball. The Fuel in the very good spot, even with the res. It's going to be very hard for the Outlaws to turn back around. Dante, though, going to go for the Clone Sigma. If anything could turn around, it could be this. Guangzhou ends up getting caught in the Fuel, starting to lose their advantage here. Okay, in the back, Bob, revenge from the grave for Linkser. And the Outlaws continuing the whole. Bob is doing so much work. Linkser's been dead for so long.
Bob is just the perfect ultimate in this situation. The res comes in, and he's able to drop the Bob. And, you know, you saw Doha and Closer just forced to hide behind the box. And even though Bob doesn't kill them early, it zones them out of the fight, essentially, so that the other players that push forward are all alone. And then on top of that, eventually they're pushed out of that corner, and Bob cleans them up. So great usage of the ultimate by Linkser, getting value off the fact that he built it first. Now, ultimate advantage in favor of the Dallas Fuel, so they should have a good fight here. But an early supercharger by Hydration could get some pickoffs.
I mean, Linkser's not just winning on the battle right now. Psychological warfare has been big. I'm not sure psychological warfare is going to help this opening. Dante down early in the fight.
Oh, it's a missed copy.
Oh no, the copy Mercy. Just wondering where everything went wrong. Double Angel, not necessarily the play. The Fuel still trying to make anything happen here. Time ticking down, under a minute. Nope, able to get Meko, so hey, maybe there's something to this. The Outlaws looking very, very low. Sustain not on their side at all, and no taking matters into his own hands. Gets super low, gets healed just in time, and the Fuel about to take point A.
Hydration is rezzed up, going to try and just touch point and delay here, buy a little bit of time. It ends up working out for the Fuel, but I think that's mostly because they had a huge ultimate advantage. Still, I'm pretty sure that Copy was aiming for the Ashe, looking for that double Ashe push. Would have been a lot stronger, I think, than having a Mercy. It can be pretty awkward considering a hero you'd want to boost is the Echo herself. So, and Mercy, you know, an ultimate whose value you only really get through the entire duration of the ultimate. It's not something you want to be building and losing halfway through as your Copy depletes. So, still though, the Fuel, they're going to be happy to get the cart moving, and with a few ultimates to work with. Seems like this amplification matrix has been, for the most part, suppressed, though.
The Fuel struggling to get things moving in their favor. The Outlaws push back a bit here, so they're going to be gaining some decent progress, but with 2.5 minutes left, the Fuel are fighting against the clock. They need to make up the time. Nope. Dropping the Flux. Looking pretty beefy on that. Dante can't get away. And the Fuel get a clean fight. Exactly what they need here, Jake, to keep time in their favor.
Yeah, and the way it's happened, too, has been especially good for the Fuel. They've been able to consistently push cart during this time, which is the most important thing here as they set up for a final fight scenario. Nice movement by the Outlaws, though. I think they're going to get control of the high ground off the back of this play. Although Closer does pick off Raucus, so no Zen. Losing a lot of sustain and that Discord Orb.
That's tough. The Fuel getting pick-off after pick-off. After the early Raucus pick, the Outlaws couldn't use Discord. They couldn't get the isolation they wanted. And the Fuel, they've made up time here, Jake. Now 3 minutes left. They conceivably could set quicker time as Decay gets a nice little quick flick.
Decay is on fire right now. I'm pretty worried for the Outlaws if this guy stays on form. He's just wiping the floor with them, dominating in this hit scan category. So if Decay keeps getting shots like this, then the Outlaws are in some serious trouble. They do have some good ultimates to help them stabilize, but this fight has no clear advantage for the defenders. And in fact, Crimso's Transcendence does mean that the Fuel have a little bit more tools to work with right now.
Yeah, I mean, Decay is playing high risk, high reward, but only living in the reward. The last few fights, Ashe, of course, not great getting away from tough situations. Now the Outlaws putting in Dante, Clone Sigma on the top. They're pretty heavy pressure. Still just trying to build a Flux before it goes away. It's a big chunk right there. Flux is up. What's he gonna get here? Forces out the Transcendence. If they get nothing else, it's still worthy. Linkser, though, was off to the side, finds Decay. The Fuel, though, fighting on back. Linkser looks the wrong way. Bob, and there's Meko. Back and forth, both teams on the floor.
The second Gravitic Flux, Dante, he forces the Transcendence with his, and then Meko comes in for the cleanup ultimate, and Outlaws are starting to stabilize here. Oh my god, I thought he was going to hit that rock. That was disgusting flick by Meko. I think it was pretty much on target there, but Repel steals the kill away as Dante onto the Tracer as well, trying to punish Crimzo, and with no support ults available, this pick could work out, but Dante, he's going to have to be careful. Decay has been hot, and one headshot puts that Tracer down.
Dante already eating a bit of focus fire. Start with Guangzhou Supercharger, same for hydration. Both teams ultra powered up. Decay, though, ends up falling first. Focused down by the Outlaws. Guangzhou, though, striking back. These trades favor the Outlaws to a degree, but Fuel right now just focused on getting payload progress. D.Va breaks the shield, focusing beam. Can't go a whole lot further, needs to back away. Here comes Note. Drops the Flux a little bit later into the fight, looking for the finish. Super close, and the shield not enough. Meko gonna fall, and the Fuel desperately clawing their way back in.
Yeah, and they have extra time to work with now. Pretty much setting the stage to close out here. Raucus does have the Transcendence, though. That should enable the Outlaws to get a good fight here. Retake some positioning, going through all this damage. The Trance is the perfect tool to get you across that big gap. But Amp Matrix from both sides, so it's going to be all on the pickoffs. Who can produce right now? Looks like the Fuel are forced to hide, not getting as much value as they would like. But Decay just manning up.
That was a really early Transcendence by Raucus. Hydration went forward. He didn't get caught by it. And now the Fuel in a great position. They have the man advantage. They have the Transcendence advantage. Crimzo going to drop it later in the fight. And the Outlaws are very much outgunned in power here. The Transcendence keeping the Fuel alive. Up against numerical disadvantage. The Bob from D.Va doing work. And the Fuel now on cleanup. They're so close to finishing with time.
Can't think of a better cleanup tool than two Bobs at the same time, covering a crossfire. So it's basically an 8v6 there. On point, not much chance for the Outlaws. Dante's Tracer Gambit not really paying off there. In order to make that hero work, you pretty much need to be picking off backliners because Doha is just going to deal way more raw shield damage on the Echo. So Fuel somehow turning this round. Both teams having great attacks. It's going to be all on this overtime round.
Yeah, and between the two teams, okay, the Outlaws have 39 seconds. I don't think that that time bank should amount to a whole lot here. I mean, it'll give the Outlaws potentially one extra attack, but it's going to be a rushed attack. If the Fuel are able to get point A on their first go, forget the time bank. It doesn't matter at that point. So still very, very close between both teams. If you're a Houston fan, you cannot breathe easy here. If you're a Dallas fan, there's still hope.
Yeah, in my eyes, it's got to be Linkser v Decay right now. An opening pick here could just close the series, or rather close the map out right there, right? The impact of getting that early lead, as you said, once you get that card moving, if you lose one fight when the card's moving, I mean, yeah, kiss your time bank goodbye. Pretty much doesn't matter at all. And it becomes so easy for the defense when Fuel gets their turn to just play around that win condition. You don't need to worry about committing on first point. You can just commit later once the card is close to the final box. So the Outlaws, they've got to be sharp here. They've got to shut down Decay. Decay has consistently been the one cracking things open with those sweet headshots.
Yeah, I mean, you compare it to other times we've seen Echo get played today. It's not really Doha being the hero here. Doha's more the distraction. It's about Decay, what angles Decay can find, and who he can plunk before the Outlaws are none the wiser. And the Fuel here have to be quick, Jake. They can't dilly-dally.
Yeah, they're moving out right now, taking a lot of spam pressure on both sides. Seems like the Outlaws, they want to retreat to point, play that corner where they were successful on the last defense. Dante, though, playing with fire to peek Decay like that. And, ooh, instant burn onto Linkser.
Decay finds the most important shot he could on the opening. Now let's see if they have more. The Resurrection is there, but the Outlaws are pinned into a corner. Linkser still in danger. And what's Decay going to get here? Linkser still under fire, super low on the side. The Outlaws, though, keeping Linkser up. The Fuel on the way over. Guangzhou under focus fire. Here comes Note off on the flank. The Outlaws stuck in the corner all the while. Dante takes down Decay. The threat is over. And now the Outlaws, can they hold on? 6 on 5. The Fuel trying to make anything happen here, but both DPS are down. It's up to Guangzhou, Note, and Crimzo. And Linkser, he's found his groove, takes down another 2. And this is looking like the Outlaws about to hold the Fuel here on point A.
Dante gives his life to take down Decay, but it proves well worth it as the Outlaws make the full hold happen, locking in the draw, but I don't think they're going to be satisfied with that. They want to win this on their map choice. Great work as well. The Mercy has worked out just perfectly, I think, for the Outlaws. both times, you know, even on the last defense, it was players dropping first for the Outlaws. The res comes in, and they're just barely able to stabilize. So the Mercy really making the difference in that scenario. Nice work, I think, by the Outlaws to stabilize in a tough spot.
Hydration dropping the yep all in caps. What Hydration doesn't know is that the Outlaws are sitting here trying to wage their psychological battles against the Fuel. But we read the script, Jake. This is going to map 6, maybe map 7. I think this is going to be a draw. That's my prediction here. It might not come true.
Yeah, I'm consulting my my Overwatch League script, and well, we can't leak that to the fans just yet. But you know, suffice to say, there's some interesting stuff in the cards. As looks like the Outlaws suggesting maybe a dive style here, but I think with the time make they have to work with, they've got the opportunity to scout out the enemy comp, and you can see Closers made the adaptation. He's going to be playing Brig on the first defense, and remember, he was the first player to drop when the Outlaws came out with the dive. So I think the Outlaws probably better served to... Oh no, they are going to go with the Babzen actually.
I thought they would have swapped because it didn't work out well the first Dallas defense. Crimzo got isolated pretty easily by the Outlaws. I thought swapping it up the way they did made more sense, but I think Crimzo just might have said, look, I got isolated the first time, protect me a little bit better, I'll be a little bit more aware, we got this.
Yeah, maybe they'll like to try and contain the Outlaws just a little bit better, go for a strategy with a little bit more map control. The Outlaws not really committing to anything yet, though. They're going to scout things out, but I think you're right. Once they see it's the same comp as before, then exactly like they pull out exactly the same comp. So it's going to be up to the Fuel to make an adaptation here. Maybe put some more pressure on Dante. To be fair, Dante did have a pretty obscene performance, dropping a 5K in that first push. So repeating that is going to be a tall order.
Crimzo's a marked man. There's wanted posters out there. People want Crimzo for the Outlaws, and not necessarily in the good way. They're looking to dive on him with all their might. The Fuel, meanwhile, looking to just drain the clock, and oh boy, Dante in some danger here. Doha on the flank, and
he steals the pack away!
Gets annihilated! Does not have confidence in the fight. Gets taken out by Dante, and now the Fuel in a very tough situation. Decay fires back, deals with Hydration, but Dante now, unchecked, has so much space to himself. And Decay, how much can you carry? You gotta get back on the point! No! The Dallas Fuel! Oh, they can't get back on, and the series is evened up 1-1.
Dante, what an absolutely fearless play on Echo. He knows he's low. He knows he's under half. He won't win the duel in taking a fair fight. So instead, he darts in and steals the Mega Pack away just as he gets the armor pack from Raucus. So it ends up being a double whammy. And then Doha is way overcommitted, has no way to retreat out of that situation, and just gets completely melted by Dante. So, you know, I was in the same boat. I thought Doha was going to run over Dante. I thought he had him caught dead to rights. But Dante turned it around with the fearless aggression, and that's all they really needed, I think, to secure the advantage for that dive comp. You know, you get one kill, and it all starts to snowball from there.
Yeah, I mean, Dante broke Doha's ankles in that situation. Like, you look at how that's set up. I think if Doha plays that well, that's Dante out of the fight, done. But everything can change in an instant. Echo's a very mobile hero. Dante's able to get to health pack. And as a result, it's 1-1. So, unfortunately, I ruined it. They changed the script midway through. You think it's going to be a draw, but it's actually 1-1. It's unbelievable. Apparently, I'm not supposed to spoil. Yeah, I mean...
well, you never know how a series is going to break down until, of course, we get the script in. You know, all the fans on Reddit have confirmed this. So, of course, no need to discuss it any further. But, you know, there were openings there for Doha to just control that engagement, right? He could have sat on the pack himself and just body blocked it, right? Like, eat the pack yourself so Dante can't have it. But Dante was just a little quicker on his toes, realizing the situation and fighting around that unique location on the map just a little bit better. So, ends up earning the win here. So, that's 2 first points cracked open by Dante. And, you know, you got to be feeling pretty good if you're the Outlaws going into a meta that has heavily favored the Echo, especially, you know, off the control map where I think as Echo's at her worst, you know, on these longer, slower maps where Echo can just deal damage, farm ults more consistently, she only gets better, I think. So for Dante, who's been getting the better of the Echo mirror, in my opinion, he's got to be feeling good going into the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think if the Outlaws are feeling the momentum, but it is 1-1. It's the battle for Texas. This is always a wild ride. And to give us a little bit insight to that wild ride, we're going to halftime. It's Watch Point.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League. Welcome to our game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. I am Zoe, joining me are Acosta and Reinforce, and the Houston Outlaws and the Dallas Fuel are making this a close one. 1-1 apiece. So, yeah, it's a lot closer than some people might have expected. So let's just get initial reactions out of the way. Reinforce, what were your thoughts looking at the first and the second map?
Well, it's been a great match so far. I think we've been very lucky this morning to have two great matches on our hands. So, pretty surprising to see how closely they are matched. I think everyone had their own sort of favorite, but so far it's very even for both teams. We've seen many different looks from both teams, and some standout players. I mean, Jexay fragged out on Nepal, and then we had Dante step up on the Echo while Decay was popping off on the Ash. It's been a very interesting match so far with a lot of different players standing out and a lot of different compositions being run.
Yeah, now, Kaz, I want you to kind of elaborate on those compositions. We did hear from the Outlaws, or Raucus in specific, talking about the flexibility of his team. Is that what you saw in those first two maps?
Yeah, I was doubting him that they are the most flexible team in the league, especially when you go up against these Shocks and these Phillies, but they've played 23 characters so far in this match, and they just seem to be adapting styles so quickly, and it hasn't always worked for them. We saw a couple of things not really work on Nepal, and it is a little mishmash, but when we went to Blizzardborn, I was actually really happy with how they played. On the first point, they really wanted to play this dive style because they knew they could get control and force Dallas Fuel into a corner. But then they're switching at the right times as well on the second point when they do need to go to this bunker. So they are showing flexibility, and it is great signs for the Houston Outlaws because it does seem to be working to them. Dallas Fuel are no slouches. They're playing well, but Houston is just outplaying them at times.
Yeah, I want to say as well that it seems like Houston is playing with a lot of confidence right now. And I wonder if that has to do with the fact that hydration is on the main tank. Maybe you've changed up the shot calling structure a little bit. But it seems like the Outlaws are confident in what they want to accomplish. Jexay is taking a lot of risks, and it has been paying off early on. Then you have Dante also taking some risks on the Echo, displaying great individual skill. So it really seems to me that Outlaws are bringing a bit of a different personality to this game, and it is aiding them. So I'm interested to see how it turns out in the second half.
And now it is time for our Crunch Time presented by Cheez-It Grooves. We got a big fight on Nepal. It was the very last one. Guys, why don't you walk us through it?
I mean,
Crimzo kills everyone. We heard Jake's analysis of it at the end when ZP was trying to get Jake to get hyped for this god tier Moira play. But you have to sort of encapsulate the whole thing. It was a really close, clutch fight. Really exciting to see both teams going back and forth. And you see the value of Moira here, how she's so self-sustainable, does a lot of healing, and gets so much value. So big props to Crimzo, who is sort of new to the league and doesn't get as many props because, he has been playing a lot of Moira.
Hey, shout out to Bob. Bob actually did shoot a lot of shields there, and he was a big distraction. But yeah, it came down to Crimzo. It was really a nail biter. This fight alone just showcases what a great match it has been so far. It really comes down to the wire, to the very end of map 1. Ridiculous ending. Love it. What I'm seeing so far from both teams.
Well, the next map we're heading into... Oh, you go ahead.
I really thought Houston had the point and Crimzo faded off the point when we were watching it live. I was like, no! And then they won. I was like, okay, never mind. I'm not panicking. You're panicking. Just needed to throw that in.
Just one of those Moira moments. Yeah. Who doesn't know them and love them, of course. We're heading into Hanamura next. What do you want to see from each of those teams? Do you think they will both find success if they stick to their guns and to the compositions they have been playing so far?
I don't necessarily want Houston to stick to anything. Yeah. I kind of like what they're doing now, and they're swapping up to a lot of different compositions. Going into Hanamura, I could definitely see them throwing one look on attack of point A, and then maybe change on point B because they play a bit differently. And then maybe some unique composition on point A defense. I think Houston are really thriving this way, playing a very dynamic style with a lot of different heroes. So don't really stick to anything. Just do you, Houston. Just do you, Outlaws. That's what I want to see.
Just live the best life you can. Do you guys consider this an upset if the Outlaws are actually going to go down to the Dallas Fuel?
Well, I came into this match, I remember distinctly because Johnny made fun of me, saying that the Outlaws, I think, actually had a closer edge than we would have usually thought. We did say that Dallas Fuel haven't looked so good when they play this double shield backline style of gameplay. And you've seen some cracks here and there. I don't think their backline is really working that well. They're not controlling space very well. And Dante's getting a ton of value, so it's not a crazy upset, but I want to see if Houston Outlaws can really continue to punish the Dallas Fuel for playing a very slow style.
What about you, Reinforce?
Well, Costa just said that I made fun of him, and I had to think back about when did I make fun of him, and I just
when
couldn't
didn't
remember,
you make
so.
fun of him, Reinforce?
Well, I didn't even mention his Lucio gameplay, so I'm confused as to where it would have happened.
Well, but now you did, so we can all dwell on it together. Thank you guys so much for all the insights. That is exactly the note I want to end this show on. Just so, we all have something to think about heading into that second half. Let's see who's actually going to edge it out and will qualify for the quarterfinals tomorrow. We'll find out in just a second. And for all the action, we're heading back to CP and Jake. There, Costa.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
The battle for Texas continues to deliver. It's 1-1 after the half, as you'd always expect. And I have to say, Jake, it's gotten a little bit spicy here. Links are dropping some interesting things in chat, but I have to say, it's all pretty amateur relative to what you used to be able to drop in chat. Where are the question marks?
Yeah, I'd love to see some fearless question marking in, but Linkser goes for a different style. The obscure manga and anime references combined with direct trash talk about Bob. But overall, great stuff from both teams so far this series. Map 1, incredibly close. Map 2 didn't disappoint either. The series is tied up 1-1, and I have no idea who's going to come away with this one, ZP.
Yeah, it's very, very close between these two teams. And again, I feel like there's just mysticism when these two teams end up playing, where it doesn't matter how good either team is at the time. Usually we get a show, and now we're going to be heading into Hanamura, where, remember, it is the losing team that gets to choose what map we go to. And Jake, why do you think Fuel would have chosen Hanamura here?
Well, in the Lone Star Challenge, the Fuel did win this map, although it was a bit of a surprise. It came after the Outlaws had a significant time-bake advantage, and only in overtime, Fuel clutched up huge, especially Decay and Doha. And interestingly enough, Fuel also played a very different style than we've seen on the last two maps. They were favoring this very fast Sombra Tracer, Winston D.Va, Lucio Moira, that all-in, super aggressive dive strategy. And it worked out really well for them on Hanamura. So a question in my mind is, will they continue playing that slow Orisa comp that they've been favoring for the most part of the last two maps, or will they switch it up? Will they bring out that fast dive that we saw in the Lone Star Challenge?
Personally, I would love to see Fuel come out here on the Sombra, because if I had to criticize areas where Fuel is looking a little bit weak right now, I have to go back to that Dante versus Doha play, where between the two of them, I think Dante has a pretty big edge on Doha in Echo play, but if Doha were able to play Sombra, I think it changes, because I think Doha is a better Sombra than Dante. So if the Fuel could somehow get to a world where they can play Sombra and have it be effective, I think it'd be super beneficial for them. I would love to see it here, but it's a question of whether or not they think that's viable right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. The question of would you rather break out of the mirror? I don't think Doha probably wants to give that one up yet. If you see dominance in the Echo duel, I think that's pretty painful going into the rest of the series, because you get to a point where you just don't want to play the hero anymore. You don't want to take the duel anymore. And I just think Echo is a very strong hero. Like, we've seen it since she came out. People thought she was overtuned, and her ultimate still has an incredible teamfight win rate percentage. So the hero is just really powerful. So it's pretty dangerous, I think, to just stop playing the duel, to just give up in that sense.
Yeah, and I think about how Doha plays Echo right now. It kind of reminds me a little bit of how Doha plays Sombra, where Doha is one of the fastest builders of ult charge on Sombra. But how you play Echo, I feel like, is different. I feel like you want to do more of what players like Shockwave are doing earlier in the day, just being fearlessly aggressive, taking advantage of the second life bar when you use Duplicate. And Doha been a little bit more passive. Obviously, Team Comp adding into that. We'll see if there's any changes here as the Fuel head out of the gates.
Yeah, we're seeing that classic Orisa Sig comp. I have to feel like this favors the Fuel. The Outlaws are going to be in a position where they need to rush, right? If you let the Fuel just sit there, stand and deliver damage, they're going to just destroy you, melting you down with discords. But if the Fuel overstep their bounds, the Maywall's baited though, not finding any cutoff for Dante. So now the Fuel have the big opening right now.
Fuel, they know the wall is out of it. They get Dante! Dante could not get away. And the Fuel can just slow play this now, Jake. They can solidify their advantage. Everyone's healthy. They have a 6-on-5. Don't do anything stupid, and they should have the point. But Linksir able to find Crimzo off on the other side, and the advantage just poofs, just like that. Linksir, or not Linksir, but Echo gets caught off on the side. So now it's getting a little bit more back and forth.
Repel and Jexa are lighting it up, though, keeping this fight interesting, keeping it competitive as the Outlaws with Dante's Tracer are looking to make a retake here. You've got these two tanks on point, but they have no heals available, so once they start getting ground down, things are going to get dire for Gamsu and Node. Crimso's back soon, but doesn't seem like it's in time. Node and Gamsu both low, and they're both finished off. That's an incredible comeback into a fight that I think, I totally agree, should have been clearly in favor of the Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, I mean, Linksir made a hero play there, getting the pickoff where all Fuel had to do was slow it down. They had an enormous advantage, but Crimzo, wrong spot, wrong time. Linksir there on the finish. As a result, 2.5 minutes left for the Fuel, and they don't have too much to show for it here just yet.
Personally, you could nano hydration and just contest the tanks. I think that's probably what Outlaws will do, yeah. They're going to go in off the back of the Fire Strike, and that's a massive shatter. Everyone on the floor!
Hydration pierced through, found the opportunity, dropped the hammer. Yeah, he gave his life for it, but worth. And as a result, the Outlaws continue to hold on here. Now looking potentially for the stagger here in the back. Doha not going to be coming back for a while.
Yeah, that's a huge hold, and the fact that you're able to do it with Nano and Shatter, 2 ultimates that I would consider almost throwaway ults, like, you know, ults that you want to be cycling as quickly as possible. Those are the ideal things to be committing in this circumstance. Now Linkster has Bob, but I think Dante's Pulse Bomb has to be the difference maker. D.Va going to switch over to the Mei, doesn't want to take the Echo fight here, which is pretty smart, I think. But nice stick onto Note, going to force the Immortality Field very early in a position where Fuel can't get too much value over it.
Fuel, they're going to drop a Supercharger, but the Immortality Field is down. There's opportunities here for the Outlaws. They drop the Bob to slow the assault and the Fuel, especially if the Valiant hits. I don't know if they really want to go through this right now. Lynch's Bob is down, so is Decay's. Bob's gone all over the place. Fuel able to start piercing into the point, but they didn't use Transcendence. Crimson was under pressure, and the Outlaws, if they hold the weight here, this could be a big opportunity. The bomb right to the point. That puts Closer in a tough spot. Gets caught by Linkster, and the pressure is mounting.
Oh, Linkster is producing so heavily with this space, and another gigantic shatter from Hydration on the main tank. What a huge performance by Hydration, coming into this role with little practice, little preparation, but just looking so strong and looking like an old hand here at the Reinhardt gameplay. So, and I mean, this is arguably like the worst case scenario playing Reinhardt into this double shield comp where there's incredible pressure on your shield. You have one chance to make your play, and if it fails, your shield will never recover. There's no hope. So, props to Hydration, making it work. This is another tough fight for the Fuel. They do have this Ant Matrix, and Outlaws not too much to work with on the defense.
D.Va got Dante! The early Icicle gives Fuel an opportunity. Crimson with the follow-through. And just like that, the Fuel have created an opportunity. Should get point A pretty easily.
Yeah, this finally is going to be the take on point A, but for the Outlaws, you're so happy with this defense. I mean, it looked like the Fuel were going to take this on their very first push, and the Outlaws managed to stall it out for almost the whole 4 minutes of that initial clock. So they're going to stay committed on this comp, though. I think this is a little bit questionable. If they lose control of the high ground, then Decay is just going to have an open sideline to carve them up. The Reinhardt's pretty all in on holding the choke point, and against D.Va's Blizzard, that could be a liability.
The Fuel want to get some momentum here, make up for lost time, 2 minutes, 50 seconds, but it wouldn't matter if they got point B here and now. D.Va going to the low ground, holding on to Blizzard. The Fuel would love to take this fight over on the point. Decent damage on the Hydration, forces him back a bit. D.Va in a bit of danger, gets the freeze. D.Va at a great spot, deals with Hydration, and now the Fuel, plenty of pickoffs, moving over and in. They've lost Closer, but they're still very winnable for the Fuel as they move in onto point B.
Yeah, they're in full control here. Everything's going perfectly for the second point offense. So while the first point defense looked good, I don't think there's any hope for the Outlaws coming back in this fight. No. And the Fuel with 2 minutes, 20 seconds in the time man completely recovered that round. To be honest, I think their strat is just better. I mean, Hydration had some massive plays to keep first point alive for so long, but I don't think that's really sustainable, especially on second point where it becomes heavily about the shield trade, about trading damage. And, you know, how is Dante going to get value on the Tracer when the opponents can just group up, play around their Mei, play around their Sigma? As long as you defend those backliners, it's pretty hard for Dante to get too much done on Tracer.
I think the other thing you have to highlight here is I don't think D.Va is comfortable yet on Echo. I think when you look at what has been going well for Fuel here, D.Va swaps over to the Mei, and what happens in that sequence of events? D.Va, arguably the reason they got point A, because he's able to find Dante, that one magic icicle, and then they head over into point B, and what happens? D.Va baits people down, ends up getting the Blizzard and freeze on the Hydration, keeps Outlaws in a tough spot. D.Va's Mei is fantastic. D.Va's Echo, not so much. I do wonder how Fuel are going to recognize this going forward right now.
Yeah, I just want to highlight that Mei wall we saw in the replay. That's something that everyone watching who plays Overwatch, who plays Mei in particular, should take to their own games. When you're trying to block those really tight chokes that aren't as big as, let's say, this big wide door on the initial choke of Hanamura, it's way more effective to put the ice wall in that orientation where opponents still can't get around it. They might be able to sneak some shots around it, but instead of being able to break one pillar and charge through, you have to break 5, which is pretty much unrealistic. As now the Outlaws setting up, though, for the all-in rush strat. Probably just going to TP straight to point, although, yeah, it looks like they will, and I love this play on Hanamura. I think it's very effective.
Lynx is ready to cosplay of Void Ray
unless
again.
that happens.
Yeah, well,
TP just instantly smashed.
Sometimes you teleport, sometimes you don't. Dante brought his own teleporter, so it's fine. Hell, though, gets caught out. Teleporter would make for a much safer entry. Decay, a great sightline. Under a lot of pressure and gets caught. Jexa, the hidden threat, strikes again. Shouldn't be enough for the Outlaws to take the point here, but does potentially give them a better fight for next.
Yeah, pretty awkward for the Outlaws, and after the initial gambit fails, they're not just going to go for it again. I think that's wise. No checks and no escape there. So they're going to go with mostly the mirror match here. Still, though, that's pretty painful. I mean, the teleporter gambit just completely failing. Linkster misplacing it, frankly, there. It should have been further out in the choke, and instead the entry actually gets broken, which is something you rarely see with the Sim TP. It has a lot of HP, and even just one shield can pretty easily protect it since you can teleport so quickly. So the Outlaw is going to be suffering pretty bad after losing that one and giving the defenders essentially free ultimate advantage.
Dynamite out from Decay. Again, the Fuel just looking to win the poke war here. Decay building up towards Bob. Should have it for this fight. Hold on for a little bit longer, but Crimzo down early. The Fuel just bleeding. Early pickoffs in from the Outlaws. And now Decay has Bob, but probably don't use it here. Probably just let this one go.
Gosh, how does Dante do it time and time again? Just opening things up and killing the Ana. That's the best pickoff you can get, bar none. And it just works out perfectly for the Outlaws. They're committing the Mercy as well to potentially give Dante even more resources, and you can see why. Somehow the Outlaws win that despite being on a very short clock. If the Fuel just get 1 or 2 ultimates online that they charged in the previous fight, then they're just going to be able to end that by pressing their Q button. But because Dante gets an opening pick on the Ana, then everyone else becomes vulnerable. Everyone else becomes a target. So once again, Dante's Echo being a crucial moment of success there for the Outlaws.
You talking about picking off Ana there almost sounded like a car sales. It's like, look, it's top notch. Like picking off an Ana, the best way to win a fight. Truly fantastic. Don't disagree though. It definitely worked out in the Outlaws' favor. Now the Fuel looking to hold here on the defense. Nope. Going in. Off on the Flux. Gets rid of Linkster, and note. Does enough here for the Fuel. That's going to be a hold.
Yeah, the Outlaws elected to have Dante and Jexa just go on a hard flank going all the way around the coast, which, I like the idea of that, but to be fair, the Fuel would make a great reaction. Instead of trying to react to this Echo and Mercy who, are going to be able to dash away and escape so easily, they just go all in on the other 4 players, and there's no hope for Dante or Jexa to be able to save them. So that's a great punish by the Fuel, getting aggressive when the attackers aren't really prepared and able to win the fight with just a Gravitic Flux. You're happy with that on defense.
Note there too in the poke war, Doha playing extra scared around Dante, something that bodes well for the Outlaws. The Fuel though, very charged up for this fight. Decay, oh, the sticky bombs, no escape. And now the Outlaws with an opportunity. Clean pick off by Dante, who's able to get out and get healed. Aune though comes in, Hydration, Meko very in danger of getting dropped here. Linkster falls in the Fuel, looking to trade out, but I don't think they've done enough. The Outlaws, a great opportunity now. They flood onto point A. Okay, again, drop the Bob, but this is not going to delay for very long. Bob immediately assassinated, wondering why he was sent out in the first place. And the Fuel, now they go to delay. Now they go to do anything to keep this in contest. But the Outlaws are armed ready to go. But Decay on the Widowmaker! Gets Jexa. Can he get another? Has the shot in his sights. This could be huge for the Fuel as they look to bring this back.
Oh, that pickoff is so critical. Losing the Mercy means no res. With Repel dropping as well. This copy Sigma from Doha is enough to close it. Oh, what a play from Decay, completely saving the round for his team. The Outlaws looked like they were going to cap with time advantage, but instead now it's the Fuel's turn to secure the edge in the time big. It does cost the Fuel pretty heavily. They have to switch to some pretty awkward heroes, some heroes that they might not elect to keep, but I think Decay's feeling himself on the Widow, and I don't think he should swap.
I don't think he should either. I think that this puts the fear of God into Dante here, where Dante's been kind of bullying Doe at points, but now any sightline Dante goes into, Decay could be there with the pop.
Yeah, exactly. That Widow, so deadly. But on the flip side, Linkster's going to have an advantage in just the raw shield trade. So if Decay doesn't find a pick, that is really, really good for the attackers, as Decay is playing this so conservatively. Doesn't want to peek with less than full HP on an Ashe.
I think it's a psychological element here where, well, okay, Doha is down, so it has to be all Decay on the Widow. This is going to be problematic. Note's hoping to equalize here with the Flux, but only gets himself eliminated. This is very, very tough for the Fuel of the Outlaws, but Dante goes down! Didn't respect the Widow! Decay still in a great spot, but can you do it again? Can anyone get back on the points? No, they can't. Dallas, point control, please.
That's pretty awkward. Guangzhou was full HP. I think he could have dropped a point, so it seems like a miscommunication from the Fuel. And, I don't think they were going to win that fight. The Outlaws were in position to finish that round off, but certainly the Fuel would have loved to get, 10, 20, 30 seconds off the clock there. It all adds up, especially on a map like Hanamura, where the first point is very holdable.
Yeah, I feel like this is a recurring trend right now of Dallas and just keeping people on the point where, look, there's a lot of pressure. You don't necessarily have to revert to letter, number in describing that, but on the same note, it wasn't great. They could have delayed for a longer period of time. Still, though, you take a look at it, the Fuel still up overall after the first few rounds of play. Their time bank ahead by a whopping 15 seconds, which essentially nil between the two teams when looking at Assault. First attack here by the Outlaws could set the trend, just to see if they can get through on first try or drain all their time on point A.
Yeah, Decay is going to stick to the Widow, so I think this duel between the damage-boosted Ashe and the Widowmaker is going to be so critical here. If Decay is able to get some opening picks, that should lock in the defense, should give them great odds to succeed here. But the support choice is actually a little bit strange, frankly, for the defense. They're going to run the Ana and the Brig, so you have good armor packs to give to Doha, and you support him well. A lot of heals for the tanks, but you're going to be sorely missing the shield trade damage that Repel's going to be able to offer on the Batiste. So if the Outlaws just play this really passively and sit behind shields, I think they're going to win the grind fight, and to where Decay needs to find some sort of heroic pick to keep the game in.
Decay might get that opportunity already. Big shot to start things out. I don't know if Dante can change his playstyle in time. It's hard to do that in the moment, and Decay is going to punish Dante anytime he tries to wildly fly in. The big part here is containing Dante, and Decay might be the answer. Takes down Jexa, and the Widowmaker is working.
Decay, such a monster on Widowmaker. We can see why he wants to play that hero, and I love why he's playing so far back. He's playing at the absolute maximum range that the map allows him, to the point where Ashe is going to be suffering a bit of damage fall off, and she won't have any chance of, like, let's say, getting a Dynamite on the Widow, the travel time just too far. And same for Echo, right? Like, how does she cross that distance? So Decay playing the strategy to perfection right now. On the other hand, though, if he misses those headshots, we could see a very different fight breaking down. So the pressure is still on for Decay. He has to keep producing, and Infrasight is pretty much going to be the only thing up for the defenders this fight.
Jake, the answer is simple. Just don't miss. That's a mindset Decay is in, and so far it is working. The halt out early, Notes under a lot of pressure. Zealous try going. Decay gets Linkser. Decay not missing, not even a little bit.
But Dante catches him.
Yeah, he misses Dante coming off the flank. The vision there a little bit lacking. As the Outlaws now, they've maybe done enough to pierce through. The Fuel on the back foot. No, Crimzo can't get the Nano off in time. And now the Fuel in real danger. Dante gets the cleanup he's looking for. He got the flank on the Decay unawares. And point A should be going the way of the Outlaws.
And really, that's, I think, the reason why we've seen so many players prefer the Ashe over the Widow. You know, when you're scoped in like that, it's really easy to lose situational awareness. And with the ability of Echo to just fall out of the skybox right on your head, it can just be a really bad situation right at that moment. So Decay just a little bit scared of the damage boosted duel. There's not much value in getting that pick, right, because it's going to be instantly res. So it's wise for him to back off. But Infrasight's available. That should enable the defenders very effectively here. We'll see if Repel can get more value out of his amplification matrix than Crimzo can respond with the Nano.
I think the Fuel are in a good spot here, but Dante can open up here. Clone to Sigma. An early flux could be big. Outlaws, though, super low. The immortality flip from Repel keeping them alive, but not for long as Decay finds Linkser again. The Outlaws getting forced back. Fuel should have done enough here. That should be full hold here on point B. I have to say. Wait, they need to get the point. Fuel! Okay, that was scary. Bob nearly got a tick on point B. Would have been tragic for Dallas.
Yeah, I love the aggression there by the Fuel. The fact that they're able to save the Nano. Instead of forcing it in, they wait for Note to get gone on, and then when the Outlaws select Note as a target, commit a lot of cooldowns onto him, he just gets the Nano and actually just turns that fight in his favor. So props to Note, playing aggressively, having confidence that he's going to get the Nano in that situation. And then, of course, Decay is just fearlessly flanking, gets the pick off on Linkser, and that's where it all falls apart. But, you know, still a winnable game, I would say, here for the Outlaws. Probably in advantage at this circumstance, right? Like, getting one tick on point B with little time bank, pretty unlikely, to be fair, on Hanamura. That second point, so difficult to crack. And the first usually loses you a bit of time on the offense. So the Fuel still have their work cut out for them. They got to crack this first point hold.
Jake, remember the script. Remember we were talking about map 6. We have a perfectly drawable opportunity in front of us here. Though I do think Fuel has an advantage. Getting point B with only 2 minutes, 15 seconds left, not necessarily easy. Also, the swap Widow calls have been strong enough from the Fuel. Decay back over to the Ashe. Doesn't feel the need to hyper carry quite as much.
Well, on the defense, I think it makes a lot more sense to play Widow, where you can create those super long sight lines. But on offense, the defenders just won't give that to you, so it might be better to play a hero that just has a little more effectiveness in the raw shield trade. The Outlaws, once again, going to play a Rein style. Again, a little bit surprising to me. Maybe they're just fearing the possibility of that Sim rush comp. They want the cleave from Rein to potentially answer it. But I do feel like Rein struggles in this comp, right? Hydration made it work last time, to be fair. But the pressure is on him. He has like one chance for these big plays each fight, and one failure is probably going to cost his team the defense on first.
Dante looking for the early wall, but guess what? Decay's already in. See how he respects Dante here, though. Tracer v May, not the easiest in the world. One icicle away from Doom.
Nice wall.
Plants a split. It's really good. Bionate comes in, but the Fuel's still alive. If Note can get out of danger here, the Fuel can re-engage. And Note gets Linkser! Note playing out of his mind, and now the Fuel, a great opening into point A.
Yeah, and Decay on this Tracer proves so annoying. Even if the front line holds choke, Decay's just deep behind, getting value, putting pressure on, and now starting to cap the point. The Outlaws, they're regrouping, but far from the objective. They're going to have to make a move now.
Now we'll see what they do here. The Fuel, though, are in such a huge moment of advantage. Bear in mind for Outlaws, you have to be worried about defending point B. Dante ends up falling. Now the Outlaws just got to jump off, worry about their defense on point B, and the Fuel have a great opportunity now to go up in the series 2-1.
Yeah, they do. It is winnable, and with a couple chances to attack second, they've got their work cut out for them. The quick spawns, though, are going to mean that the Outlaws will have the opportunity to hold high ground with this Nano, most likely going to be going on to hydration, and this is a much better situation for Ryan, I think, than normal, but, ooh, if Decay forces point, it's only one tick to capture.
Oh, Decay, he's in full carry mode. He's going up on the side. Where's this pulse gun going to land? It's going to land way too late. The Outlaws realized Decay wasn't there and just ran at the Fuel. So that's going to win him at least this fight.
That's the power of Lucio with the Nano Rhine, right? If you can't escape that Nano Rhine, the cleave damage from the hammer and the Nano is just disgusting. There's pretty much no way to survive it without support ultimates. So wisely electing to just hold on to their ultimates. This is where the Fuel's time pick advantage is really going to matter, because now they have that power play. Now they have the opportunity, and Jexa only on 75% on his sound barrier. He really needs that ultimate, I think, to get the stabilization. The Fuel, if they can get a good supercharger, a good gravitic flux, this could very easily be a point D capture and another map win in the series.
This is definitely advantage Fuel, but do they have the execution to back it up? Decay looking for the supports in the back. The pulse bomb ready. Doesn't have the opportunity to go for the stick, but Dante's down. The Fuel, a clean 6-on-4 as they look to go up a map here in the series. The Outlaws falling one by one. They disregard the script. A draw might not be in the cards. And now it's Decay, looking for a little bit more, takes down Meko, off on the flank, Doha gets Jexa, and the tick is almost there, the bomb clearing it all out, and the Dallas Fuel go up, it's 2-1.
Great work by the Dallas Fuel, the patience to just tank the fight loss in the previous fight, understand that the Nano is actually one of the most crucial defensive ults in that scenario, and where the Outlaws fell victim to it, the Fuel, they still had enough extra time to come back for a round 2, and that made all the difference in that circumstance, because with the huge ultimate advantage, Decay just goes in as a pure distraction, lets the rest of the Fuel move out on the high ground and take that checkmate position, really, where you've got your versus Sig, they're overviewing the entire point, and they can just combo at will. Doha can just freely spam out damage and slowly inch his way forward to point, and the Outlaws just have no hope but to try to contest, but it's futile in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I also just really like how the ult economy panned out for Dallas there. They kept themselves in control after a good early engagement, and can't say enough about Decay within this particular map, where Decay not only having great moments on the Widowmaker, but as mentioned mid-broadcast, right? Going as Tracer in versus the Mei is not easy. You're basically dancing through a minefield made of ice, and Decay was still able to be a good distraction, able to break things open. And as a result, Dallas now one map away from winning the battle for Texas once more.
It's certainly looking good for them as we go into the next map, but so far each team has won their map choice. So, as we go back to the Outlaws map choice, it's very possible that we could see this series going to a Game 5. And, if history is anything to go by, that seems almost likely at this point.
Well, things continue to heat up here. Dallas versus Houston. Another classic may be on our hands. We'll be back soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's largest 5G network. Switch to T-Mobile today.
The Fuel are one map away from being the champions of Texas once more, up 2-1 over the rivals, the Houston Outlaws. But now, Jake, we head into our next map. It's going to be Rialto, and somehow, some way, this rivalry has a way of going to map 5 or beyond.
Yeah, it certainly feels like that. ZP seems to go that way all the time, but the Fuel, I think at this point, they're not going to want that. They want to close things out right here, right now, and it's very doable, even as we go into Houston's map pick of Rialto. You know, Decay has been just a hotshot on the hit scan heroes. You know, he's brought out the Widow, which few players have touched since that recent Ashe buff that made her just feel a little bit more versatile and more effective, especially in the shield trade. But Decay's Widow was on point, and, you know, he just made it work all round long. He's looking great on the Ashe as well. So, you know, as we go into Rialto, it's a map where Ashe can really take over the game, and Link's just going to have to step up big time to shut him down.
Yeah, and Decay, I mean, what more can you say then? It's just been an incredible one-man carry show where anytime you see someone swap onto something like a Widow, right, you expect them, okay, you're going to hit some shots, miss some others. Decay was just on a spree there, one shot landing after the other, and the one time you ended up following up Widow is Dante just coming in off the blind spot entirely, definitely not wanting to challenge it directly. So Decay is absolutely putting on a one-man clinic at the moment, and a big reason for why Dallas is hanging in there and doing so well. Outlaws, meanwhile, obviously showing good power earlier in the match, and this is something that could really go either way. And Rialto, it is the Outlaws map pick, so we'll see if they have something special in store.
Yeah, and it's certainly a place where the Outlaws are comfortable, so you have to think the odds for them are pretty good. They're also going to bring in, I believe, Raucus in favor of Jackson now, which, again, makes sense. We're going to a map where that Zen BAP or maybe even the Mercy BAP that we saw in Blizzard World might be a more dominant choice than a Lucio or a Brig. So expecting to see that mirror match of the Orisa comp, which has actually gone both ways throughout the series. We saw the Outlaws, you know, barely coming out on top of Blizzard World, but you know the Fuel made it look easy. To be fair, holding Hanamura in a few situations. So ultimately, I'm curious to see how this round breaks down. Of course, the Outlaws do have to win to keep the series alive, but if they do, they should have momentum going into the final control. And wow, thinking back to that first control map, that pretty much couldn't have been closer. Both teams, as you said, ZP, earlier, just throwing haymakers at each other. So, personally, I'd love to see this series finish on control.
Yeah, and I feel like if it goes control, it's going to be another map 5 round 3 situation. It just seems to be destiny at this point, if you believe in it. But now, we get to look forward at the here and now in Rialto and see if Dallas can just finish this off before you get to a map 5. Make it a clean 3-1 and go, no. We don't need any of the theatrics. Just give us the W. Let us go forward here in this Melee tournament where there's a whole lot on the line.
Yeah, definitely. Dallas, they don't want to pull any punches. They'd love to just end the series here, especially after how close the control map was. I don't think they're going to be super excited to go back to that map type and, you know, have to play the decider. Even though they did win the first control, I think both teams, or rather, I think for the Fuel, they definitely don't want to continue on. They want this series to end here. And if Decay stays on form, to be fair, I mean, I think it's going to be tough for the Outlaws. They're going to need to produce big time to overwhelm Decay as, oh, and this is dangerous. Decay already starting off with a Widowmaker, so scary.
I like it a lot. The one thing I'll say, though, is that I do think if you're the Outlaws, you look at this and you almost get to a point where you ignore Doha a bit and just overly focus on Decay. Doha has not been the threat when on Echo. Doha on May, different story. But I think here, if you're the Outlaws and you see this, your plan is simple. Find a way to neutralize Decay before he rips you apart.
Yeah, what I like about the Widow here is it potentially scares Dante off of the Echo duel, right? It's like pretty risky to duel the enemy Echo when the Widow could always cut you down at any range, unlike the Ashe, who I think wants to be just a little bit closer. But Dante on the Tracer could be very punishing here. You know, no Ashe to punish him quickly, and with that Zen BAP, I think this Tracer actually could get a lot of value if Dante likes to keep it.
I would think Outlaws on the payload for now, the Fuel holding back. This is where you wait. See if Decay can get an early pickup, but oh boy, you're down Crimzo to start things off. And now you're really hoping Decay can find something soon because it's unlikely Doe's going to deliver down 1. And the Fuel right now are just running for their lives.
Yeah, and they're getting chased to the ends of the earth. Decay somehow finds Raucus through a haze of particle effects. This guy is a freak of nature on the Widowmaker. And without Raucus, it's going to be pretty difficult to close out this choke point where a lot of teams manage to hold, but Lynx here wants to find Doha and sends him packing. Both players taking a ton of damage there.
Doha getting scared off there, and I'm not even sure how Raucus fell there. I don't think Raucus should have even been there. I know you're have momentum against the other team, but there is a limit to these things. The Outlaws Pushing outside point, the fuel recovered. Decay down! Hydration pulls them into the lake, the river, canal. As third time's a charm. Outlaws taking over point A, and that should be it.
Dante once again, though, for the Outlaws. What a superstar. Not only does he burn down Crimzo, he does it so quickly that Closer wastes his immortality field and gets absolutely no value from it. So this Tracer pick is absolutely working out perfectly, punishing the Widow, where Ashe is pretty scary playing Tracer. You know, you can get that one-tap headshot, whereas Widow is just so much more difficult to turn around when the Tracer gets on you and starts to poke your back. And Decay doesn't realize he's so close to Dante, though.
Well, he realizes now who's going to win, Dante or Decay. Decay can land those shots close up, but Dante gets scared off. Evidence of the threat there is D.Va off on the side, finds Raucus. Fuel on a great spot. Decay takes advantage of the chaos, finds Linkser in the Fuel, and right back over. And the Outlaws going to find themselves resetting.
Meko does find D.Va, but D.Va should be back to the fight no problem. So this is great for the Dallas Fuel. Able to stabilize and put their Widow in this ideal position where there's a lot of long sidelines here. Very challenging in this particular spot on the map for Ashe to actually take that duel. We will see Dante take the switch over to the Echo where, you know, with the enemy team holding high ground like that with Closer switching over to the Brig. Makes a lot of sense to me. Oh my god, this guy is crazy.
Decay. Well, he was only in sight for the briefest of moments. And Decay's just like, yep, gotcha.
I mean,
Decay's a maniac.
gosh, what do you do about that? I love that shield from Meko. It's like, I don't know where Decay is. I'm just shielding you 24/7, Rapel. And I mean, I'd be asking for it if I were Rapel. I mean, this has been painful. Decay is lighting it up.
I mean, you just live in fear if you're the Outlaws right now. Over what Decay's doing. Clean shots onto the Orisa. Nearly gets it. Hydration has to run for his life. Decay just continuing to put his presence on the field, just oppressing the Outlaws from afar. They don't have a good answer for this Widow.
Infrasight? How does this guy is crazy? And with the Infrasight on, he's just holding this super annoying angle where the Outlaws feel like they can't push up. Finally, Decay misses a shot. Finally, but now he's right back into it, lighting up the Orisa. Oh,
Hydration just got dominated. One shot after the other. Decay not even playing Overwatch anymore. Just playing a very easy version of Duck Hunt at this point.
And there's nothing easy about it. This guy is just on another level when it comes to the Widowmaker. This is one of the only players we've seen pull out Widowmaker in this style. I mean, you lose the shield trade like very badly playing this comp for the Fuel. I mean, if Decay isn't finding these picks, he will be losing by default. But Linkser wants the duel, and you know, I can't blame him. Somebody's got to stop Decay in his tracks.
Oh, go for the champion. See if he's able to go for it. Decay, mortality field down. Gets a little bit of support, takes down Linkser.
Okay.
Comes at a cost. Dante backing up Linkser, makes it a trade. So finally Decay falls. The Outlaws can actually move onto the bridge without fear of immediate doom. But the rest of the Fuel's still up and still delaying here on the point.
The double Orisa just sandwiching the Fuel, though. This is a great copy by Dante. The Supercharger absolutely lighting everyone up as Transcendence committed by Raucus, just trying to stay alive there. It is a pretty big deal if he does get picked off in the scenario, and that late pick onto D.Va is actually going to cost the Fuel pretty dearly now, as they're going to be forced into a 5-on-6 recontest. We'll see if Decay can pull out some more heroics. He's got armor, Rally's coming out, so it's clear that the Fuel want this fight.
Oh, look at this! Dante was prepared! The sticky bombs! Nice stuff from Dante! Surprise! Linkser, the fall through on the Gamsu. That's one way to deal with the Widow. Just don't let her shoot.
That's just a great awareness by Dante, predicting that spot. Position for him is perfect there, but Hydration does get burned down, and the copy of Orisa from D.Va is getting a lot of value, and with spawn advantage, oh, another pickoff from Decay, and that's going to be a hold for the Dallas Fuel. Beautiful work by them. It started to look really bad with those openings from Dante, but still, the pickoffs come through, and the rally is just too effective at keeping those tanks alive, keeping the card contested.
All right, Decay's back. He has line of sight. What are you going to do?
Infosight's a cooldown for this guy. It's not an ultimate, it's a cooldown. It's like a 30-second cooldown, no big deal. It's like an immortality field.
If that, it keeps getting stealth ticks to be less and less as the round goes on. As the Outlaws see their time ticking down, wondering what to do about the purple woman on the other side that just won't stop hitting heads.
Echo, though, on this flank, going to create a lot of space for his team. Very awkward for the enemies to deal with that. Okay, there it is. That's exactly what Dante needs to do, although Supercharger from Gamsu going to suppress the Outlaws.
Oh, I mean, aim from Dante! This kid's crazy! Great flank here from Dante. Looking for a little bit more, and that's the answer to Decay. Just don't let him see you. Wait while the Infrasight is on cooldown, go for a flank, and hope for the best. But the best happened here. The Outlaws about to get point B, but they've lost a lot of time to the pressure put out by the Fuel.
Dante and Decay are just going blow for blow in this series. I feel like that is the story of the series here. Both players producing crazy stuff. Dante with the flanks on the Echo, and Decay with this monstrous performance on Widow. Linkser feels like he has to take the Widow duel, and I don't blame him at this point. Like, somebody's got to stop Decay.
Look, even if you win that duel 33% of the time, that's a push you're going to win. And there's Dante! Decay, though. Decay's life somehow wasn't quite enough. Okay, going to get healed up here from the BAP. And the threat of Decay not over yet. Meanwhile, Dante floating in Sigma, looking to build the Flux. And doesn't have a chance to get off, losing the clone. Gamsu super low, but Gamsu's gonna get healed back up. Dante out of the fight. So is Decay. Linkser starting to get room. And now the Outlaws go on over. No real danger. Linkser getting the sight line. This is looking good for the Outlaws.
Yeah, finally some momentum here, and it's a really significant push for the Outlaws. They're going to have to suppress Decay's Widow. Infrasight is out, so Doha knows the position of the enemies, but he needs a perfect copy here, and he's about to take the focus of oh my God, instantly burst! It doesn't even get to the floor on the copy.
Well, the copies there, the Outlaws still have momentum. Fuel, you got to do what you have been doing a whole lot this series. Stay on the point. Delay as long as you can here. Gamsu in on the delay. Decay still on the Widow going, no, I trust it, even in this situation. But the Fuel can't stay on the point. The Outlaws finish. 37 seconds left on the clock. Not the worst for Rialto.
Decay with some impressive shots, but Dante, the flanks are just too deadly, and I think this is why we've seen Ashe sort of take over the meta, why Widow has been a pretty rare sight, even in a composition that theoretically should be good for her, because those Echo flanks are just so deadly, and as Widow, you want to be scoped in, you want to be charging those shots up, but that just makes you a free kill for an Echo as good as Dante, and props to Dante, he's had such great positioning as well on the Echo. That's been really the key to so many of these fights. Decay doesn't even get a chance to take a shot.
I mean, it's also the adaptation, right? Where you don't necessarily go into your game of Overwatch expecting that you're going to be playing more of a stealth game than an FPS game. But part of what Dante's had to do here to deal with Decay is that he's way too good if he actually sees you. So Dante's not only had to come in on the flank, but he's had to go in on the flank in such a way that Decay is none the wiser, right? Where a lot of those pickoffs onto Decay, you didn't see it coming.
Oh. Linkser as well, though, coming alive on Widow there after a bit of warm-up earlier in the round, finally starting to activate. So if Linkser stays in form here, this could be another good defense. They are going to go with the Ashe on the defense, and personally I like this. I think the Widow is always going to be a hero that's a little bit more effective on defense. We can just hold those angles, wait for the attackers to push in. Whereas on offense, you're forced to make some initiative. You've got to push in and take those corners there where Ashe can be waiting for you with the dynamite, or just the value of Ashe to break shields can end up being more effective. We'll see if Decay can do it, though. He's got to be sharp on this Widow.
Decay continuing to play Widow hero here for the Dallas Fuel. It's showing Linkser dominated. I don't know why he took the jump there, but it was a bad idea. Decay starting off once again. I hear the pain in your voice, Jake. I hear it.
That's just hard, man. Linkser instantly switching over to the Widow, wants the duel. Decay again! This guy shuts down Dante, and that's been the only player who's been able to stop him. So now, pretty much free reign for the Fuel as they charge forward. Just going to clean up these last remaining players for the Outlaws. Linkser does turn it around on Decay. Could be the start of something, but these are very late kills. Repel and Meko, they will not be here to contest this cart. So unless Hydration switches over to the Hammond, this is going to be a very awkward recontest.
I love what we're seeing from Decay. This is peak Overwatch. Just one good limb after the other, imposing his will on the very game. Hydration was a little bit ambitious, just dives onto the point directly into the welcoming arms of Doha's focusing beam. Yeah, it has arms, don't question it. Linkser gets Decay to start, but the problem is his team is dying all around him.
Yeah, I like that. Pick up Decay, hop into the canal for the reset. But so far, this attack really couldn't be going better for the Dallas Fuel. I mean, 2 instant pickups by Decay, taking out both enemy DPS. Personally, as a DPS player, that's like my favorite situation, where you just style on both DPS one after the other. You've just asserted your dominance on the whole category. And Doha's style of farming ultimate has really paid off, because now he's got his copy almost online. Dante, though, wow, impressive that he would check that spot. He does get punished by Closer, though.
Yep, immediately put into the ground. The Fuel running through Rialto at top speed. 4 minutes, 44 seconds left to go. There's the Flux in from Note. Fuel want to keep this momentum going forward. The Outlaws super low after getting hit by the Flux. Doha finds Linkser. A little bit of Echo versus Widow on the other side. Here's Doha, clones the Flux. Nothing but devastation as the Fuel continue to keep the Outlaws on the back foot.
Nice work by Doha as well with the copied Sigma, just cleaning out there. And, that's sort of the same role reversal we've seen before, where Echo sneaking up on this Widow is so deadly. It's so difficult to answer on Widow. If you can get the drop on the enemy Echo, you might have 1 or 2 shots to take her head off. But if those don't come through, it's looking pretty dire for Widowmaker. Now Decay has Infrasight, so it can nullify that flanking potential.
5.5 minutes here for Dallas Fuel. We are in top times on Rialto territory if they're able to take this next fight and just treat the Outlaws like they're not even there. Decay looking for the pickoff once more. The Halt setting it up. The damage takes down Raucus. Decay cannot be stopped.
He's just on fire, but Raucus close to spawn, and the fact that Doha falls there, oh my word, this guy is crazy. Another Infrasight. They're pushing in. Crimso's capitalizing as well on the Infrasight. Gonna sneak up on Repel and look for the kill on Dante as well.
Transcendence in. Who can look for Crimzo with Decay is just committing crime after crime. What he's doing should be considered illegal. This is absurd. The Fuel continue to keep up the pressure. The Outlaws, nothing they can do. 5 minutes and 11 seconds on the time bank. That very well could be the fastest time in Rialto history.
We've got to check the stats. We have to see the stats. I mean, I agree that if it's not the fastest, that's like top 2, top 3. That's absurd. I mean, the Fuel just dominating, but that was just the Decay show. I mean, Doha having some good moments as well, shutting down the enemy Widow, shutting down Linkster quite a few times, and props to Linkster for even standing up and winning the duel a couple times, but those are light praise when you consider like what Decay just did to them. I mean, they just got destroyed.
Oh, that was beautiful and terrifying all at the same time. My God. Dallas.
Watch a Widow player like that, and there's just not so much I can say, analysis-wise. Like, yeah, he's setting himself up for success. Yeah, he's playing good positions, but normal humans cannot connect the shots like that. You said just don't miss, and I think Decay heard you. Something that very few players have been able to say that they can do. So that's pretty obscene by Decay, and he clearly does not want to play map 5. Decay is not interested.
Decay has a date tonight, for all we know. I mean, there's clearly like extra motivation going on right now because Decay is mad. Maybe it's all the trash talk going on during the series. Like, maybe the Outlaws just never should have used global chat. Maybe that's the theory.
This is one of the best Widow performances of all time in the Overwatch League. I'm very comfortable saying that. Woo! Linkster, though! That was disgusting. Okay, Linkster wants a little bit of a duel here, I think.
Touché! A Widow on the other side. No Echo is safe, as it turns out. The Linkster, you're going to have to do a lot more than that. Decay has been hungry all round long as the Outlaws face elimination here in the May Melee against a much quicker Dallas time.
Yeah, Dante, no cooldowns left, does get cut down in the flank, and Doha making the switch to the May, I think is wise here. Sets themselves up for success, not only here in holding the choke, but also as they look to close out the map with that Blizzard, and another solid fight here going in favor of the Fuel. The Outlaws are going to be in dire contest scenario here.
Also, we have confirmation that was the fastest Rialto time in history. Thank Mr. Decay for that one. My lord. But now we'll see if the Outlaws have anything left in the tank. It is still winnable, but they're going to have to reverse course here and now. But there's Decay. Just takes down Repel. This man is dirty beyond belief.
Yeah, and this is all over. Fuel just stomping this defense, looking so confident. And how could you not be when your Widowmaker is putting up a performance like this? Decay is a god gamer. I mean, I throw that phrase around occasionally, but that's it's the fastest time in Rialto history in the Overwatch League. That's the best Widow performance I've ever seen in my life, I think. I mean, not only starting on the defense, having huge pickoffs, holding second point time and time again, and only faltering when Dante goes all in to flank him. Then that offense was beyond bonkers. I mean, this guy cannot be stopped.
Look, we're always watching professional players. We're always watching people put on a show. But you need to realize, if you're watching this right now, you are witnessing greatness. This single performance by Decay is out of this world. I can count on one hand anything remotely similar I've seen in years of casting this game. This is wild what Decay is doing right now to the Outlaws.
Those that know me know that I'm rarely, if ever, at a loss for words, but Decay has my jaw to the floor right now. This guy is a monster, and Linkster's been having solid performance on Widow. He's been hitting crazy shots of his own, but with Decay just going Super Saiyan level 10, man, like you you can't match this.
His hair's all over the floor.
This is, yeah, he's going absolutely bonkers. I mean, to hit this full hold would be truly legendary for the Outlaws, but I think it's nigh on impossible. Doha on the Sombra as well, so gives them that EMP win condition, and barring something completely absurd, Decay has stamped the Dallas Fuel's ticket to move on here in the May Melee. Monstrous gamer performance right now.
All he has to do is keep it up for a very short distance. 5 minutes left to go. Hardly anywhere at all. Nope, gonna take a quick swim, but it's gonna need a lot more than that to stop Dallas here. Dante
Nice
going in. Oh, of course.
Decay's just headshotting you. I don't even know how he sees it there. Oh,
And
there's Decay. He's got another kill.
What do you do? What do you do? You do nothing. You sit and just watch as Decay ends your very existence, is what you do. This is
like the
absurd.
worst angle I can imagine for Widowmaker, and I keep thinking Decay is going to hit every shot. Like, this is such an awkward shot, but Decay is somehow connecting it.
It's like watching someone in the NBA just hit every three-pointer from half court. There's no response. You just sit and bow. You bow the knee. You say, congratulations, King, and go on your day. Rockets.
Note on such an aggressive surround right now. Hydration is striking back, but he is going to fall. And wait, Linkster finds another, so could be a little moment of stability here for the Outlaws. This is exactly what they need. Letting the Fuel get a little bit overconfident and punishing that. That's the way you make it work with this dire time bank scenario. Decay wasn't able to do quite enough there. And Doha, 64% on the EMP, though. That's the number to worry about. He is beating Raucus in the race to Transcendence versus EMP. So if that does continue to go the way of Doha, then that's a pretty consistent way to finish things off here. As no ultimates on the table just yet, but Dante finds another. So Decay also feels a kill.
Decay goes, we lost our main tank. Doesn't matter. Do I still have the sight line? Yeah, let's go. In for sight up. Crimzo, a little bit of sniping of his own. The Outlaws, of course, fighting for their life. Dante builds up the EMP in the hurry, but also immediately falls to Decay. Decay, like, what is the status of this man's back? He's going to be a go-to chiropractor for years after this. Actual years. The Fuel, they take it 3-1. The Dallas decays. Let's be real.
Jesus. ZP, I mean, we just bore witness to something special, something unique. I mean, I don't know what they're paying Decay, but he's worth double. I tell you what, he's worth triple. Like, sign this guy. I've never seen a performance like that. I mean, I was talking to Overwatch, you don't solo carry games. It just doesn't happen. The game is team-oriented. Widowmaker is a bit of an exception to that rule, but even she very often, is relying on her team to create space, to create openings. But, I mean, Decay just didn't miss there. It started on Hanamura. We saw him heat up. We saw, the upswing there. But I just didn't think it would continue to go up and up and up. I mean, this guy, that's the best performance I've ever seen in my life on Widowmaker. I mean, even I think Widowmakers in the Overwatch League would probably agree that's completely obscene. You got to miss sometimes unless your name is Decay.
Yeah, Decay just said, missing. And who decided that? Unbelievable. Okay, so here comes a mere formality. We have our player of the match presented by Xfinity. If you think for a second anyone other than Decay, you didn't watch this game. You weren't even in the room. I don't know what you were doing with your life. Of course it's Decay as player of the match. What do you think it was going to be?
Yeah, I mean, for real, if you at home disagree, you're crazy. I'll debate you on this all day. That's the most deserved player of the match maybe I've ever seen. I mean, I can't say enough about Decay right there. I mean, the team, to be fair, coming in well around him. But you think about that, like, there was a lot of close matches there. The tanks trading effectively, Meko and Hydration going even with Gamsu and Note, I would say, back and forth. Lynx are having a strong performance on Widow. Not a bad game from him. He's not. This would be a different story, right, if Lynx were just falling over and we're not producing anything of his own, and we could say Decay is like uncontested. But that's not the case. I mean, Lynx was playing well too. Lynx was having his moments, but Decay's moment was like the entire match consecutively with no breaks, except for the few times Dante was able to sneak up behind him and chop him down. So, wow. I mean, if you're the Dallas Fuel management, you're talking to Decay right now about a 25-year contract extension or something, because you do not want this guy on any other team. You do not want to play against this guy.
No, you should look at that and just be completely terrified as any other team. If Decay could put on that performance every day, which, by the way, I mean, this is a peak that I don't expect to see all the time, but my God, I think Decay playing like that, Dallas would have beaten anyone in the Overwatch League. That is something you cannot play against. It was absurd.
Yeah, you know, that's one of those things where, like, if I see you in rank doing that, I'm like, this guy's cheating. Like, there's no way this is a human player. It's, like, just not achievable. But DK just did it right in front of our eyes in the Overwatch League. It just doesn't get more impressive than that, folks. You can't ask for better than that. I mean, even as a Houston fanboy, you know, I'm indelibly biased. Dallas, they deserve that win easily. I mean, DK is a god gamer. I have to say it again.
Yeah. Whew. So we need a break from that. I think everyone just needs to reset after that. We still got more Overwatch left to go today. That's right. The fun is not over. The battle for Texas might be done, but still so much more to go. Coming up next, it's Justice taking on the Gladiators. You don't want to miss it.